The part I want to expound on in 16 when we get there. Grand Rising Gucci, Grand Rising Debbie. I ain't got my cutter or my torch. That's all right. You just go right here and grab it. Yeah. Can't hear anything. Can you still not hear anything on YouTube? Oh, I see the thumbs up. Yeah, so YouTube is going to be interesting because for some reason it didn't rotate on the comments, and the comments are sideways. So there's going to be some interesting reading on that one. But we are in our study of Leviticus. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? They challenged us years ago to read. You don't read your Bible. They always say that. You don't read your Bible. You don't read your Bible. You ain't reading it right. You don't understand. You ain't understanding. You ain't got the Holy Ghost. So you don't even know what you read. So we got to read it right. You got to read it. So then we start reading it. And we've been reading it, and we've been finding all kind of foolishness. We found, every now and then a good nugget or two, but for the most part, not so much. We've been going through this Leviticus, and been a whole lot of massacring and killing of animals. A whole lot of that. And, last week, we talked about all the fluids and stuff that comes out of people's bodies and how that kind of makes you unclean and all these other things, and how this deity didn't understand certain biologies. And he didn't understand it because the people back there didn't understand it. Well, today we're going to continue in some of that, but with a little bit more story. And we're going to be able to go off and talk about Azazel. Damn it, I'm kind of like spoiling it a little bit. But we're going to talk about some things that are found in the book of Enoch that are relatable to this book in 16. And 17 is, going to talk a little bit about, I forgot what 17 was about. Shit. Guess I'll find out when I get there, huh? So we do read it. If you don't like to be read to, you about to get irritated for just a second, but we do read it because I don't want anybody to claim, well, you didn't read it, you just presupposing, or you taking this part or that part. Now we're taking all the parts. Oh, and before I really want to thank you guys for all your sharing. All my accounts have grown significantly over this summer because you guys have done a great job of sharing the videos, and I greatly appreciate it. I know that growth would not have happened if you guys hadn't been sharing the lives and sharing the other videos that I put out consistently. For those people who are on Facebook and TikTok, if you want to see the previous videos of Leviticus and Genesis, you're going to have to go to you got to go to my YouTube page. There's a playlist. Go to Wildlife Religion with Coach Renz or Larenzo on YouTube, and go to the playlist. The playlist is where you can see all the older ones. Especially, it's good now because for a while, when I first started 2 years ago, I was like sketchy as hell. Do one a month, do one video a month on this subject matter. Had a lot going on, building my cigar lounge, which I'm about to have a whole bunch of free time. So y'all about to see we about to make some changes in the life. So the prerequisite little 5 minutes or so is gone. So if you jump on after that, then you're just going to have to catch up. So now we're going to talk. This is where the holiday of Yom Kippur comes from. Leviticus 16. If you heard of Yom Kippur, this is where it comes from. This is why they celebrate it. And, we're going to be able to move with this. Figured I'd get settled in, then I have to leave. It's all right. I did respond to your message yesterday, John. So, waiting for your response on that one. But peace, brother. So, 16 starts out. The Lord spoke to Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron. That was two of his sons who didn't approach the tent of meetings, the holiest of holies, correctly. They were immediately killed So now he's just going to talk to Moses and Aaron about the death of those two sons. Remember, if you was with us even before that, and when it named those two sons, it was like in Exodus, it was like he just arbitrarily named these two sons. There was no reason, but there's always a reason. Those sons were named in Exodus so that they can die for entering the holiest of holies incorrectly in Leviticus, and then so that now we can have Yom Kippur. So this is the whole purpose of those two sons, right? From what I understand, a lot of books are removed or deleted. Yeah, a lot of books are removed and deleted. We're going to talk about one of those books, well, 5 of those books in this chapter. All right, so the death of the two sons who died when they approached the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, tell your brother Aaron that he is not to come whenever he chooses into the most holy places behind the curtain in front of the atonement cover of the ark, or else he will die. So you can't just show up when you want to show up. For I will appear in a cloud over the atonement cover. This is how Aaron is to enter the most high holy place. He must first bring a young bull for a sin offering, and then a ram for a burnt offering. And remember, the burnt offering that's consumed by this deity, because they believe that their deity literally consumed the carcass, the meat. He is to put it on a sacred. He is to put on his sacred linen tunic with linen undergarments next to his body. Got to have some drawers on. So all you dudes out there free balling, y'all need to stop free balling. He is to tie the linen sash around him and put on the linen turban. These are the sacred garments, so he must bathe himself with water before he puts them on. But from the Israelite community, he is to take 2 male goats for the sin offering and a ram for the burnt offering. Now we're going to get into the whole Yom Kippur, and this is what, if you've ever been to a Yom Kippur service, this is what is read during that service. So even with the little kids, they get to read about the sacrifice. Aaron is to offer the bull for his own offering and to make atonement for himself and his household. Then he is to take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meetings. He is to cast lots for the 2 goats. Now, isn't that interesting? Now, some people say, well, he cast lots here, and then they cast lots for Jesus' cloak, and they're casting lots. If you cast lots for any other deity, they're going to call it witchcraft. But yet, this Bible says, hey, I got my own version of witchcraft, and I need you to participate in that version of witchcraft. Grand Rising Derek from Greenville, South. Man, I like Greenville, South Carolina, but we're not going to go in that direction. I was just talking about Greenville yesterday, as a matter of fact. But, you know, shake them up, casting them lots. But it's always interesting, as we know, every time it's somebody else doing it for a different religion, it's witchcraft. When they do the exact same thing in this religion, then it's the Lord's will work. It's okay, right? Which is a contradiction. If you are going, it's hypocritical, not a contradiction. It's hypocritical. If you're going to say no witchcraft, then don't have it as part of yours. You understand what I'm saying? Right? You can't do it. That's like that's like saying that we vegan, but our restaurant serves meat, and you mad at everybody else serving meat. Stop. Why are you serving the same thing? You're doing the same thing. All right, let's continue. But the goat chosen, wait a minute, 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat. Let me finish this little part, then I'll come back to that. To the scapegoat. Aaron shall bring the goat whose lot falls to the Lord and sacrifice it for a sin offering. But the goat chosen by lot but the goat chosen by lot as the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord to be used for making atonement by sending it into the wilderness as a scapegoat. You gotta get this whole thing before I break it down a little bit more. Aaron shall bring the bull for his own sin offering and to make atonement for himself and his household. He is to slaughter the bull for his own sin offering. He is to take a censer full of burning coals from the altar before the Lord, and 2 handfuls of finely ground fragrance, fragrant incense, and take them behind the curtain. He is to put the incense on the fire before the Lord, and to smoke the incense will, and the smoke of the incense will conceal the atonement, covering above the table of the covenant law, so that he will not die. So you got to make sure he gets all this stuff exact, or him dead, right? Him gonna die. Now, mind you, he's making atonement for all the sins of his household. He's also making atonement for the sins of his sons who he had got killed. So this is kind of like a reversal of the sins let from the father down to the son. This is the son's on up. But he's also going to make atonement for the whole of Israel. He is to put the incense of the fire before the Lord, and the smoke of the incense will conceal the atonement. Conceal the atonement for cover above the table of the covenant law, so that he will not die. So that he will not die. He is to take some of the bull's blood with his finger, sprinkle it on the front of the atonement cover. Then he shall sprinkle some of it with his finger 7 times before the atonement cover. Again, with the sprinkling of the blood. This is a blood cult. No matter how you slice it, you cannot deny this. Everything is about the blood, and it's going to get deep about this blood and demonstrate how it is purely a blood cult. But we know it is also, it's copycatting and doing exactly what everybody else of that culture did back in that day. This is what the Babylonians were doing, the Assyrians, the Phoenicians, Hittites, all the Tites were doing this. They just did it for a different deity. He shall then slaughter the goat for the sin offering, for the blood of the people. He shall slaughter the goat for the sin offering for the people, and take its blood behind the curtain, and do with it as he did with the bull's blood. He shall sprinkle it on the atonement cover and in front of it. In this way, he will make atonement for the most holy place, because of the uncleanliness and rebellion of the Israelite. Whatever their sins have been, he is to do the same for the tent of meetings, which is among them in the midst of their uncleanliness. No one is to be in the tent of meetings from the time of Aaron goes in to make atonement in the most holy place until he comes out, having made atonement for himself, his household, and the whole community. So all the sins that they racked up for the whole year, they're now getting ready. They're making atonements for with some bloody sacrifice and all that. Even though in previous chapter it's been that they were doing sin, they were doing sacrifice for all these other sins. So what was all the atonement sins earlier? Like you commit an action, you atone for the sin, bam, you good. You commit a sacrifice. Now we got to have a special sacrifice, I guess, for all the other sins that you skipped out on in the previous, when you didn't commit a sacrifice for a sin, and like, well, I catch up on my sin. And this is the one for all your catch up, I guess, because it doesn't really make sense that if you're constantly doing sacrifices for sins, why is now you're doing this one big ass sin, one big time that you're going through it? But we'll continue, because there's a really good part that I want to get to. Then he shall come out to the altar that is before the Lord, and make atonement for it. He shall take some of the bull's blood and some of the goat's blood, and put it on all the horns of the altar. This is nasty. He shall sprinkle some of the blood on it with his fingers 7 times, to cleanse it and to consecrate it from the uncleanliness of the Israelites. Don't sound too clean to me, but it's all right. When Aaron has finished making atonement for the most holy place, the tent of meetings, and the altar, he shall bring forward the live goat. All right, we're finna get into some shit here. The live goat. He is to lay both hands on the head of the live goat, and confess over it all the wickedness and rebellion of the Israelites, all their sins, and put them on the goat's head. he shall send the goat away into the wilderness in the care of someone appointed for the task. The goat will carry on itself all the sins to a remote place, and the man shall release it into the wilderness. All right, let's put a pin in it right here for just a moment. Just a moment. All right, Grand Rising Samuel, Horace, how you doing? All right, how many of y'all have heard of Azazel? Curious. You know, I like to ask y'all a question so it gives me an opportunity to light my cigar, and I'm acting like I'm waiting for an answer. But I do want to know how many of y'all have heard of Azazel? Give you some time to type. I have yet to see a non-hypocritical religion. Yeah, it don't exist. There's some hypocrisy in every religion. Anybody's heard of Azaz? Okay, Samuel said he has. So in some translations of the Bible, appreciate that, Dwayne. Thank you for the donation, brother. Appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. I do appreciate those. Debbie's heard of Azazel. Azazel. All right. So, Grand Rising Donald. Some translations, when it said talked about the scapegoat, instead of the scapegoat, it says one for the Lord and one for Azazel, right? Azazel there's no definite place that it comes from, right? Samuel said, right. It's one of the so-called fallen angels. It's you can find Azazel prominent in the book of Enoch, and you can find him in the Apocalypse of Abraham. And I meant to look up when the Apocalypse. I need somebody to look up when was the Apocalypse of Abraham written, when they think it was written. But you can find him in those two places. Now, under a different name, you can find it in the Sumerian text as well. Because you look at the similarities of actions and how they have taken some of those actions and transferred them into a Israelite Hebraic story. So where it says Azazel, the reason why Azazel used to say Azazel, it demonstrates that these people believed in worshiping these other deities, or at least giving credit to these other deities. Azazel is supposedly a fallen angel. He is one of the fallen angels who revolted. In some instances, he's one of the fallen. Wait, let me rephrase. In some instances, he's one of the fallen angels that was with the original revolt against this Canaanite Yahweh God, right? So he was one of them. He wasn't the primary one, but he was one of them in some of the stories. In other stories, he is one of the sons of God. You know how it says in Genesis, I think 6, when the sons of God saw the daughters of man, they looked good, they were fine as hell, and then they were like, hey man, look, we gotta go check them out, man, because they're kind of fine. And then Azazel was one of the deities, one of the sons of God, who came down and got busy with the women, and then was teaching. And then you know how it says they were teaching man, they had the Nephilim, and they were teaching them the different secrets of the gods and all this sort of thing, right? You'll find that in the book of Enoch, and you'll also find that in the Sumerian text. So in this, but the difference in the Sumerian text, it was and the difference in the Sumerian text, they came from Mars basically, and came down to Marduk's wedding and ransacked the wedding, took them some women, and had them and took them as wives. So it's similar, and Azazel being one of the leaders of the ones who did that. Now, I know I'm throwing a lot of different variations of this dude, and I'm gonna get to the whole scapegoat thing, because in the Enochian version, the reason why Azazel was punished, even though Samyaza was the main fallen angel that came down and got with the women, the reason why Azazel was punished more than anybody else is because the things that the other fallen angels or sons of God were teaching them is it was, hold on, right, 70 to 150 BCE. I thought so. I couldn't remember exactly, but I needed to know that, and I have a reason to know that I asked. That's the apocalypse of Abraham. The Lost my train of thought for just a second. Oh, the other fallen angels were teaching mankind, teaching the women how to do things like make medicine out of plants. Now, isn't it interesting that according to the book of Enoch, this deity is upset that don't want us to learn how to make medicine out of plants, teaching us how to make tools, things of that nature. This is similar to all the other ancient previous stories where the more knowledge man gains, the less dependency he has on this deity. And these deities were afraid that we would stop worshiping them, or as the Sumerian story, we will stop being their slaves and stop taking care of these big ass aliens who are walking around on Earth with people. It is just elevating the aliens into an abstract godhood and angelic beings, is all that we have done. But Azazel was punished even more so because Azazel taught man how to make weapons. So you can see why Azazel would be worse, because he taught us how to fight against them by making swords and other weapons of metal. Now, Azazel is also attributed to two different animals, the goat, and back in the day, before the apocalypse of Abraham was written, he was attributed to the goat most of the time. So here is Abraham, and we're going to see something later on here where it talks about them going out and still doing sacrifices to goats, to the goat deity. Azazel is one of the primary ones who was attributed to the goat. So this is why a goat must be chosen. And then the magic cloak of sin that's been put on this goat is going out to go to Azazel, because he was in the book of Enoch eternally damned to suffer for all times, almost equivalent to what people want to call Satan. It would actually make more sense for Christians to not call Lucifer or Beelzebub or any Azazel would actually fit the Satan paradigm even more so. And this was tried. This was tried in the gospel in the apocalypse of Abraham, which was written 70 to 150 CE, after the whole stories of Jesus is around. Because in the stories of the apocalypse of Abraham, Azazel turns out to be the serpent in the garden. Not only was he the serpent in the garden, there was but one being that he was afraid of or respected in heaven, and that was the Messiah. He wasn't named as Jesus, though, in the apocalypse of Abraham. It just said that he came up to a man, kissed a man, and then stood behind that man because he was in reverence of that man. Abraham asked, "Hey, what deal is? Why he so what this dude so important?" He said, "He's the savior. He's the Messiah. He's going to save mankind, teach mankind how to do well, and all this kind of stuff." Doesn't that sound like how Judas comes up and kisses Jesus on the face, stands behind him so that they can come and take him? They can come and take him, and he's supposed to be the Messiah. It doesn't name him as Jesus in the apocalypse of Abraham, but it is a very similar story. But it also demonstrates how they take bits and pieces and parts and they just write some stuff and make up their own story. Because suppose in the apocalypse of Abraham, he goes up into heaven, he sees all the different he sees the fall of man with Adam and Eve, and that's how he sees Azazel as the serpent, but he got wings and hands and feet and like a body, which sounds like Enki having a serpentine head, but having hands and feet and a body like a man. That's how Enki is also described in the Sumerian story. So these stories are all intermixed. So you can't call them all the word of God if they're all intermixed. But when they send this scapegoat out, this was them sending out a sacrifice, an offering to Azazel. But they're only supposed to be worshiping one God. But they're doing this based on their God telling them, send Azazel his goat. Once a year, Azazel gets to eat. And that's what's in this book. But I thought that would be an interesting uh, information for you guys concerning this. Now let's get back to this. But most people, well, I'm gonna say this. Most people would never even think that Azazel is in this book in that format, and that he is given this reverence every year. If you didn't read this book, if you didn't know it, because now the Bibles do not say Azazel; they'll say the scapegoat. All right. So, we're gonna bring him up one more time. This book does. When Aaron has finished making atonement for the most holy place, the tent of meetings and the altar, he shall bring forward the live goat. Oh, I already got that part. Sorry. You put him out into the wilderness. Gotcha. We are right there. Then Aaron is to go into the tent of meetings and take off the linen garments he put on before he entered into the most holy places and leave them there. He shall bathe himself with water in the sanctuary area and put on his regular garments. So God is going, because you remember God is in this sanctuary, so he want to watch him bathe, peeping Tom. Then he shall come out and sacrifice the burnt offerings for himself and the burnt offerings for the people, to make atonement for himself and for the people. I thought that's what you put the scapegoat out there, and you sent all of that. Now you still got to kill some animals. He shall also burn the fat of the sin offering on the altar. The man who released the goat as the scapegoat must wash his clothes and bathe himself with water. Afterwards, he may come into the camp. The bull and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought into the most holy places to make atonement, must be taken outside the camp. Their hides, flesh, and intestines are to be burned up. The man who burns them must wash his clothes and bathe himself with water. Afterward, he may come into the camp. Now remember, during this time frame, these Jewish people today are reading this to their children about killing the animals and sacrifices and the blood and all that. This is the last ordinance for you. On the 10th day of the 7th month, you must deny yourselves. Do not do any work, whether native born or foreigner resides among you, because on this day of atonement, you will be made for you to cleanse you. Then before the Lord, you will be clean and from all your sins. Starting out fresh. It is a day of a Sabbath rest, but this is like the super Sabbath. So this is the 1 day super Sabbath. And you must deny yourself. It is a lasting ordinance. So that means it is something that they are supposed to be doing forever. Jewish people, they still have this holiday. But because Christians are supposed to still be under all of this, they think that, oh, Jesus took away all the sins. That's just at the moment of judgment. You're supposed to be doing this other stuff continuously. A lasting ordinance. Lasting ordinance doesn't mean lasting ordinance till Jesus comes. It means lasting ordinance. Continuous. Forever. The Bible, God's infallible word, and it will be witness against you at the Oh, people making claims, checks you can't cash. The priest who is anointed and ordained to succeed his father as high priest is to make the atonement. He is to put on the sacred linen garments and make atonement for the most holy place, for the tent of meeting and the altars, and the altar, and for the priest and all the members of the community. This is to be a lasting ordinance, atonement to be made once a year for all the sin of the Israelites, and it was done as the Lord commanded. So that was 16. This Yom Kippur, as they call it, is supposed to be done on a continuous basis. They're not supposed to stop doing this. They're supposed to keep doing it. So these animal sacrifices, this goat that is sent out to Azazel, is supposed to still be going on. Nowhere in the Old Testament did I ever see where it says that just because they don't have access to the temple that is now the Muslim mosque, Dome of the Rock, that they are supposed to stop. So although Christians definitely are not going to do it, Jewish people, they're not out there doing this. They're not following this book. And why? Is it because there was a point in time that their God said you didn't have to do it? No. They stopped doing it because culture. This book is pushed by culture more than it's pushed by anything at all. And what do you say? Yeah, I've heard that one Samuel Tate by the Freemasons that tricked the devil and traded his kid for a goat. Traded his kid and he brought him a goat across the bridge. But that is not, that's a modern day revisionist on where the scapegoat came from. It's an old biblical story, but it's a reference to Azazel, a fallen angel that you find a lot of that information in Enoch. I tell y'all, this is gonna irritate me trying to read this sideways. Just talking about the 400 years and this. Oh, this is gonna drive me crazy that this is sideways. Include Arabs and maybe the Greeks before the Christians. I got a few homos who keep talking about, oh, after them 4 years, yeah, they ain't gonna do nothing. So we're gonna continue into 17, and then we'll be done with this chapter, and then we'll be into our open discussions. You know, we like to get into the open discussion. So now, after you get Yom Kippur, 17 is where they get their laws for being kosher. Which is really code for this guy doesn't understand science. He doesn't understand science. So the Lord said to Moses, speak to Aaron and his sons and to all the Israelites and say to them, this is what the Lord has commanded. Any Israelite who sacrifices an ox, a lamb, or a goat in the camp or outside of it, instead of bringing it to the entrance of the tent of meetings to present it as an offering to the Lord in front of the tabernacle of the Lord, that person shall be considered guilty of bloodshed. They have shed blood and must be cut off from the people. This is so the Israelites will bring to the Lord the sacrifices they are now making in open fields. They must bring them to the priest, that is, to the Lord, at the entrance of the tent of meeting and sacrifice them as fellowship offerings. The priest is to splash the blood against the altar and the altar of the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting and burn the fat as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. With that aroma pleasing to the Lord, BS. They must no longer offer any of their sacrifices to the goat idols, to whom they prostitute themselves. This is to be a lasting ordinance for them and for the generations to come. This is the whole jealous God thing. I know that y'all believe in other deities, but I'm a jealous God. You're out here sacrificing to other goat deities, Azazel, well, I think no, I think Moloch is a cow, but they said oxen. You out here sacrificing to these other deities? Nope, nope, just me. Bring me my meat. I like the sweet aroma of burnt flesh. I know I was hoping that John would have stayed on here, but on the video that I did where I was doing 2 videos about Cain and Abel and their offerings. And as we see in this book, it would not have mattered. Now, first I did the video where I was talking about maybe Cain's not the bad guy, but the other one where I was talking about the guy who said that it's because Abel brought his first fruit, his best, which is doctrine. It's doctrine. That's purely doctrine. There's nothing in that story that says that Abel brought his best. He say just gave the first youngins. All right, when you're giving fruits and vegetables, you can't do that. Abel gave based on what he creates, what he managed, what would be his work. Cain gave based on his work to show thank you for the goddamn fruits and vegetables. So I'm gonna give you the fruits and vegetables. Thank you for it. I appreciate it. That makes sense, right? That's like if you gave me money to go buy a dozen Krispy Kremes with the hot sign on, and I come back into the same room as you, I'm like, hey man, I appreciate you giving me money for the dozen Krispy Kreme with the hot sign on. Have some Krispy Kreme. But you get mad because you like, no, why you didn't bring me a steak? Why you didn't offer me a steak? Why you gonna offer me some damn Krispy Kreme? I give you money for Krispy Kreme, but you offer me a steak. Does that make any sense? Cain was offering what he had, vegetables. But as we continuously have seen in this book, the only sacrifice this God really approves of is some burnt flesh. And every now and then, some flour and some grain. Some flour and some grain every now and then. But on almost for the big shit and for almost everything, that sweet aroma. He loves that sweet aroma. This deity is a blood deity. He likes animals to be killed. I can't even see what y'all talking about over there. So in this one, he continues that same vein of it's a sweet aroma. Don't be sacrificing animals to other deities. Bring me all my meats. I want it's the Arby's commercial. He wants all the meats coming his way, no other way but his way. So we can see but this also shows that like I said earlier with Azazel, they entertain the worship of other deities, the existence of other deities, right? So since they go for all these other deities, and we see it right here, them going for these other deities instead of them recognizing that, nah, they're supposed to be like, nah, it's just our God. To continue, and like I said, this is supposed to be going on forever. Say to them, any Israelite or any foreigner residing among you, them who offer a burnt offering or sacrifice and does not bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting to sacrifice it to the Lord must be cut off from the people. So my punishment is exile. Gotta leave. Can't be part of the people no more. Gotta roll. All right, whatever. I will set my face against any Israelite or any foreigner residing among you who eats blood, and I will cut them off from the people. For the life of a creature is in the blood, and I have given it to you to make atonement for yourself on the altar. It is the blood that makes atonement for one's life. Therefore, I say to the Israelite, none of you may eat blood, nor may any foreigner residing among you. Is it not hypocritical that this Jesus said, drink this wine? It is my blood. The Catholics say the wine literally turns into blood as you drink it, and the cracker of the bread turns into the flesh as you eat it. So these people have a telling you in this part, don't eat the blood. Then later on, they eating the blood. And then this God says, if you eat the blood, you're defiling yourself. But later on, Jesus said, it is not what goes in the mouth, in the body that defiles you, but what comes out of the mouth. So this God is not consistent. If Jesus is God and this God is flip-flopping, not the same one. This is why Gnostics say that the Old Testament God is the demiurge, and the new Jesus is talking about the New Testament God. He's like, this is a different God because y'all ain't even that. But blood is not the life of a creature. And I say that in this: if you don't have blood, yes, you will die. But if you don't have air, you will die. If there are other elements that if you don't have in your body, you're gonna die. You don't have any water in your body, you're gonna die. So water, can I say water is the life? No. Is the life of a creature? No, you can't. If you get a blood transfusion, Are you now that other person? So my two daughters, uh, they got blood transfusion from their godfather when they were born premature. Does that make them his biologicals? No, it doesn't. And I know we have that thing where we say you are what you eat. And to a certain extent, you are what you eat, meaning that if you eat crap, your body gonna be crap. But I'm not a cow. I've eaten meat. I'm not no, no. But here's the thing about it. So to make something kosher, you have to drain all the blood from it, or you cook all the blood from it. I think it's going to repeat this somewhere. It might repeat that thought process. So I might be jumping the gun. If this deity actually understood science, but they're understanding what they can see, it's a virtual impossibility to drain all the blood from an animal. You cannot do it. It's impossible. There will always be some element of the blood in an animal. So you can't drain it all out. When you cooking it, you're not cooking out the blood, you're searing the blood into the meat. You're burning the damn blood into the meat. You're not getting rid of it just because you can't see it, just because if you order it raw, or no, not raw. I mean, they can order it raw, of course, but if you order it medium well or medium, and you can see that little pink, but if you order it well, if you do it well done and there is no pink, it's still there. You just burnt it into the meat. That's all you done. You burnt it into the meat. Nothing different from that. So you're still consuming the blood of an animal when you eat an animal. But none of you may eat the blood, nor any foreigners, and they're going to kick you out. And let's continue and finish. This is actually a very short chapter. It only has 16 verses. Any Israelite or any foreigner residing among you who hunts any animal or bird that may be eaten, must drain out the blood and cover it with earth. So drain out the blood, and then you got to cover the blood. You cover sweep the blood under the rug. Cover the blood with earth. Kind of like Abel's blood screams from the earth. Because the life of every creature is in its blood. This is why I have said to the Israelites, you must not eat the blood of any creature, because the life of every creature is its blood. Anyone who eats it must be cut off. Keeps repeating it. Y'all know this book repeats itself too many times. Anyone, whether native born or foreigner, who eats anything found dead or torn by wild animals must wash their clothes and bathe with water, or they will be ceremonially unclean till evening. Then they will be clean. But if they do not wash their clothes and bathe themselves, they will be held responsible. This actually was repeated. This was back in Exodus. They said the same thing as far as that last part by eating dead animals or wild animals, telling you that you shouldn't do it. But if you do it, hey, just take a bath, wash clothes, wait till the evening time. You can come back into the camp. All's good. Maybe you're not a good hunter. You ain't got no. Maybe you poor. You got to eat what you can find. You can scavenge. But that's the end of 16 and 17. Wow, we finished those really quick. Probably could have did a whole nother chapter, but I'm not. But we're not. We're gonna stay right there. See if I can catch up on some of the things that y'all talking about. But so what have we seen in those two chapters? We see that they still identifying and worshiping other deities. They are saying that these other deities existed. Now, whether you are saying Azazel as a fallen angel, or you're saying Azazel as one of the Anunnaki, they are and we know many of the Anunnaki are angelic, are equal to the angelic beings. So there are, others. There are other deities that they worship. It is just that when Hezekiah started writing all of this, which was written during the time frame of Hezekiah, it was, hey, we got to get rid of the worship of these other deities, because we are just only going to worship the Canaanite god Yahweh. You got to understand, Yahweh originally was a Canaanite god. It was not this Hebrew god. It was a Canaanite god, but it's still a Semitic because Canaanites are Semitic people as well. Um, but we also see that in this chapter, Aaron, they are taking all the sins of the people and having this special super Sabbath where they're going to allow you to be able to cleanse yourself of your sins. Because frankly, everybody wouldn't be able to do all those sacrifices that he's talking about, because you'd be doing a sacrifice every god doggone day if you were to try to follow what we've read from Exodus into Leviticus. You'd be doing a sacrifice every day. You sacrifice goats every day, bulls every day, lambs every day, and birds every day. Because if you're poor, and then the poorest person, they'll be doing it. The whole economy will be bankrupt because there will be no animals, and this was an agrarian time frame. So because we can't do that, if you didn't want to, if you were poor, or you just didn't want to waste all them damn animals, then you just wait for the end of the year at Yom Kippur, and then let the priest do the sacrifice, and then you good, because all the sins of the people good. So just like how in Christianity, people sit there and they can say, "Oh, as long as you believe in Jesus, you good to go." They had their own way of saying, "Hey, long as you are living during the time frame of Yom Kippur, all that year, you walk away clean after that. You good. Go and sin no more. You're good to go." So they have their own, what we would say, scapegoat nowadays, in the term frame of, in the time idea of somebody else taking on your sins. We have that, we that's our way of using the term scapegoat, but they had their own way of doing it to make this more palatable and easier for the people to live with. But those people have been easier for them to live with because they were already part of a culture that lived that way. They were coming out of the Babylonians. They already were used to it. They were surrounded by other Canaanites and Hittites and all these other types and the Kemetic people. So they were already familiar with um, similar cultures. And these things were just passed down and passed down and passed down. And like I said, biology wise, this deity doesn't know what he's talking about. There's no, if you eat meat, you eat blood. There's no way you don't eat meat and not eat blood. I don't care. You can burn the shit out of it. That just means the blood is burnt into it. It doesn't magically disappear, because you cook it. And you sure as hell can't drain all the blood out of any animal. There are still going to be blood in the veins, whether it's just coating the veins, or just because it stopped coming out, just because you squeeze it and it stops coming out, that is not getting rid of all of it. There's still going to be blood in it, but this is based on what they could see. What they could see. Why is this? So the screen is sideways for you guys on YouTube. Why would somebody would tell me that? Let me try something here. What about now? How is the screen? Because that actually would make it easier for me to read it. This phone acted stupid today for some reason, and I see y'all been going in over here. It's good to have a moderator. Um, well, why didn't y'all tell me it was sideways in the beginning? I could have been turned it. Then I could have been reading what y'all was saying, because I couldn't read nothing what y'all was saying because y'all was sideways for me. Anyway, all right. So now we can talk about anything. So whatever y'all want to talk about is fine. But this is why we walk away from this book, because just in the reading of it, people don't read this book. All these people believe this book, and yet they don't read it. But this is why we do. And we also go through this process because it's part of our deconstruction process. As you have to be, in order to deconstruct it. Oh, someone did. My apologies, Andrea. My apologies. I didn't see it because because we my apologies for real. When you're deconstructing, one of the things that you have to go through and realize that if it that we I don't put it, you have to know why. You have to have a bigger why than whatever um, your initial reason that started you on that process. You need to go deep into your why. You have to get rid of more and more of the conditioning. You've heard all some of these verses here and there, but then you need to dig deeper into this book so that you can understand fully, and just where it becomes overwhelming. Like there's overwhelming evidence, information that says this book is not real. It's made up stuff based on a culture. It is not something that I truly need to be following. So that's one of the reasons why we are doing this. Even though it started out as a petty ass reason, because people were like, you need to read your Bible. Okay, all right, we're gonna read then. But the benefit of it is much greater. Um, religion is a colonial program, rules, regulations, and rituals. Romans order the gladiators born is a gladiator grown, and their blood is precious to the sight of the royals. Okay, yeah. With gladiators, it was thought that if you can have a woman have sex with a gladiator and she get his semen, they have a great child, or they live forever, or you drink the blood of a gladiator and it makes you young, or you drink the blood of a virgin, makes you young. I wouldn't say spiritual people don't eat meat. You can be spiritual and eat meat. That's one of those things in the spiritual community that is almost religious like. When they say if you can't, you not spiritual if you eat meat. Why? Actually, Andre, why? Let me ask why before I make any statement, because I don't know why you're saying that. So let me shut the hell up. I understand what you're saying, Sammy. You're saying that you got the Akashic record. For some people, they don't need to study this book. Like I don't need to study the Bible anymore in order for me to know that I don't need to be a part of this book. That I don't need that. Walking away from this religion, I'm good to go. But it's a process. There comes a time when you don't need to. I don't even study the hermetics anymore because I live them, so I don't need to study them. Once you're living something, you're right. I don't think you need to study it. But most people are growing through a process, and through that process, they are they will still study it. But depends upon why you're studying it. You can eat whatever you want to eat. It affects you in a way so that you should purge you should want to eat healthy, but it's a mind over matter. Yeah, I mean, we should want to eat healthy, but as far as being your what you eat making you spiritual, can you eat something today? Like I had some ice cream yesterday, knowing good and well I shouldn't be eating ice cream, but I wanted some ice cream. But I'm eating the ice cream. I know I shouldn't eat it. I felt a little lethargic for maybe an hour, but drank a whole bunch of water, flooded my system with water, pushed all that out. I'm good. Bruh, I asked you why shouldn't you eat meat, to why a spiritual person can't eat meat, and then you just put out 42 laws of my. I know I don't know if you know me or not, if you've been on here before, but I'm a very kind of like direct person. I don't do vague stuff. Just say what it is. Why should you not eat meat? See, like the humble queen, the problem is these meats are not the same as before. That's a more direct statement. These meats are not as the same as they were before. All right. I can understand that. These meats today got a whole bunch of steroids in them. They're eating crap, chemicalized feed and seed. So yeah, you're putting a whole bunch of chemicals in your body, and the meat is not as it was when I was growing up. Just like I live in Georgia, we're supposed to be the peach state. Yet I would gladly go to South Carolina to get my peaches. But a peach today compared to a peach that I ate when I was a kid, I think there was a study or something that said that it would take eating 50 peaches today to equal one peach back in the 1950s. That's horrible. And that report was like 20 years ago when I read that. That is horrible. That is so bad that the nutritional value of things have gotten that bad. So I need more. You just can't say 42 laws of my eye. Okay, 42 laws. Thou shalt not. I have not committed adultery. I have not stolen. What does that have to do with eating meat? You see what I'm saying? You got to be specific, my guy. Well, it's Andre, right? Yeah. Got to be a little bit more specific. That way, if you're specific, we are all actually sharing together. It is not, just throwing things out there, but we are all growing and learning together. There are people like me who need meat as part of their diet. Kevin Wesley got his stomach removed and must eat meat to get enough calories. It's dangerous to say everything is for everybody. Exactly, Texas Goddess. Um, Same goes for animal dairy. You're right. Grand Rising, Michael. Michael, you always come on right around this time. This must be the only time that you have available. But you're absolutely right. There is nothing, you can't blanket everybody with the same eating requirement because some people do have certain issues and those issues require different things. I don't eat meat, but I stopped eating meat before I became spiritual. Right. The first time that went vegetarian, it was because it was health wise. It was just health wise. I just want to be faster and stronger. You know, it had absolutely nothing to do with spirituality at all. Do you believe the Bible is wrong or the interpretation of it? Both. The Bible in itself is wrong and the interpretation of it is wrong. When I was a personal trainer, I saw the eat according to your blood type, and that's just not scientifically valid because I wouldn't do that because one, there's no real science behind it. They need to do more studies for that one. And of course, I'm talking about back in early 2000s is when I was doing all that. So I don't know if they've done more studies now to validate that. I just saw that as a way that somebody wrote a book and they figured they could make some money, and they did. They made a whole bunch of goddamn money on that. Because all blood types, if I'm B positive, and then there's a joker over in China that's B positive, but he's living up in the Himalayas and he's grown, his genetic follow through has been different than mine. What he's been eating all his life, what his ancestors have been eating all life, what his availability is of what he can eat. It's too much. And then does he have any ailments? Does he have any genetic issues? A lot can go into that. So I kind of dismissed that one, but it was a good book. It made some money. I wouldn't say blood type, but definitely what is native to you. There are acquired taste. This acquired taste did. Right. And that's the other part. Our bodies adapt to the environment to which we have been generationally born into. This is why you can go to certain places, they can drink the water, but you can't. They can eat certain food, but you eat it, you about to get to the diarrhea. So it's different. Texas Goddess said she has a chronic illness and tried going vegan, but my health went down and I had to add meat back to my diet. Exactly. Yeah, and you do. You most certainly do. If you got some kind of issue, then you got to eat according to your issue. It's all truth mixed with lies. Oh, the Bible, yeah. Nah, it's okay. It's right. There's some truths in the Bible, but it's mixed with but it's more to me, it's more lies in the Bible than truth because none of the people actually exist, and they're copying other people's stories from previous civilizations. But a man says as soon as you travel outside the United States, you get diarrhea, and as soon as people from outside the United States come here, they get constipation. In general, you make a good point. I will say it depends on what countries we're switching people from. Um, when I went to Germany, I didn't have any problems in Germany. Most of the African nations I went to, I didn't have any problems. But there were a few places. They served me up some stuff, and boy, oh, it was a hard time. It was a hard time. My body didn't like it. Yeah, it fought me very well. Glenn Gardner, how you doing? Is the Bible wrong? I mean, it's obviously fiction. Yep, but there's a reason. Great truth is weaved within fiction. They drink more water. Yep, drinking more water is work. But the Bible is a book of fiction, just like, but it was a book of fiction that people wrote about what they thought God was, is, and wanted them to do. But it was also based on their current culture and the cultures of the people that came before them. And it also was involved with keeping the power with the elites over the people and controlling the people. So you think the Bible is Cordero? I like that name, Cordero. My name is Cordero Menil. How you doing? Yeah, so Cordero Menil. I like that. I think the Bible is the will of God, not the word of God. And most of the stories are parables for a prophecy to be fulfilled by us today. I think okay. I don't think it's the will of God. So the will of this God is to have slaves. The will of this God is to force rape victims to marry their rapists. The will of this God is to sacrifice all these animals for so he can smell the sweet aroma. And I understand what you're saying about parables, but how do you switch up some of these literal things you're supposed to be doing according to this book? The will of God is that whatever government was put in place is the government that this God wanted you to be born under, and you should pray for that government. So when Trump was in office, everybody who was against him supposed to pray for him. And when Biden is in office right now, everybody who's against him supposed to pray for him and recognize that you're supposed to be under those rules and those laws. People who were born into slavery were supposed to be born into slavery. People who were born into totalitarian statehoods, to vicious dictators, they're supposed to be born there because God put Idi Amin, well, I ain't gonna call Putin a dictator, Hitler. God put those people in place. Nah, that's all man. That's all man. And every generation thinks that they're supposed to be fulfilling prophecy. Every generation thinks that it's the end times. And it ain't happened yet. Coach, I'm like you when it comes to ice cream. I stay away from dairy. If I want ice cream, I typically go to the homemade ice cream. But rest assured, I'm detoxing right after I eat it. Yep, got to. Matter of fact, the beauty of it is that my body's gotten used to ice cream. It's not as bad as it was when I was in my 20s. In my 20s, I eat it. 20 minutes later, I got cramps like a champ. Fasting is great for the body. Things I found is get a blood test to find out what your vitamin levels are. Intermittent fasting is good for the body. Helps you burn away some and cleanse your body, um, just for health reasons. I have not found any difference in fasting as far as, and clearing some crap out your brain, getting you focused. But as far as like true spirituality, I ain't found no. I haven't found value in it. Some people might. I don't, and it's probably because of the emphasis that I don't put on it. But fasting can be a good thing. Intermittent fasting. But these people be talking about, I'm finna fast for 40 days. Yeah, you finna die. And it always amazed me at the beginning of the year how all these Christians do the Daniel fast, right? And they'll lose all this weight. And that's great. And then by summer, then they'll put it all back on. So what was the point of doing it? And then I see most of them struggling. They're supposed to be, Daniel was supposed to have a greater good looking constance. He was more focused and all that kind of stuff. Most of them are agitated. They're irritable. They don't look good because they got all that stress on them. But you can intermittently fast, like that'll be good for your body. You wake up in the morning and maybe you don't eat till sundown. Is it harder in the summertime? Hell yeah, but you don't eat till sundown. It helps your body to cleanse. Exactly, Andre. We are with. I am 1,000 with you right there, brother. Cow's milk is for baby cows to grow over 1,500 pounds. That's why a cow has 4 stomachs. Cow, we should not be eating cow's milk. Now I know I eat ice cream every now and then. Like I just had some ice cream yesterday or the day before. But prior to that, it had been at least a month or two since I had any ice cream. Do I put is there some cream in there? Yeah. But wholesale? No. Cereal, drinking glasses of milk, all that kind of stuff? No. Feeding your baby that shit? No. Uh-uh. Most Americans eat too much meat. Should be 75 to 80% more 80% more green on your plate than meat. Yeah, it should. You should eat way more. When you do eat meat, I always had told my clients open the palm of your hand. The amount of meat you should eat should never be more than the palm of your hand, right? And I used to ask them, you only need to eat meat, try to keep it, minimize it to like 1 meal a day. Out of the 5 meals a day that you're supposed to eat, make it one of your meals. Yeah. And my clients have more success doing that. Of course, they don't stick to it. It's hard. Yep, fiction makes truth easier to accept as being outside. Let's draw the parallels instead of feeling like it's an attack on your own character. It also keeps it hidden from those not ready to be blinded for their egos and worship those who. Yeah, I think you do have to. Some of the information does have to be hidden because not everybody is ready for um, the higher levels of it. But it's one thing about that. Like when we was doing, it's like Thursday we do book club Thursdays, and we're doing the Gospel of Thomas this week. Well, we should finish the Gospel of Thomas this week, hopefully, on Thursday. I know I have do I have a medical appointment on Wednesday or Thursday? It's Wednesday or Thursday. I have a medical appointment. But anyway, we should finish it on Thursday. When we, even though we're going through this, and even though I can break down some of the esoteric ideas of it, most people still ain't gonna get it. Most people are just not. Now you do have the danger of a person getting it, but that person want to use it for their own selfishness. Well, let me rephrase. It's okay to use it for your own self, but using it for your own self when it may hurt somebody else intentionally, that's a problem. Oh, the medical appointment's on Thursday. We're still gonna do it Thursday because it's an early appointment. I actually got to get up in the morning. Oh my gosh! But certain levels of secrecy you do keep. Do you know your maker, and do you know your maker? That makes no sense. Do you know your maker, and do you know your maker? Of course, I know my maker. I know my maker very, very well. Her name is Mary Alice Fuller. I've known her since birth, and I've known the co-conspirator of my maker. His name is Harold D. Reed. I've known him since birth. Of course, I know my maker. And then I know one side of the makers. I know Eddie J. Ross and Isabel Ross. I knew them very, very well. Now, I didn't know their makers. I didn't know the makers of my father because they had passed on before me, but I heard stories about them. I know my makers, even though I know what you're trying to get at, but I know my makers because those are the ones who made me. Because without them, I wouldn't exist. And then for generations upon generations upon generations, had to happen, or none of us would have existed. Now, interestingly enough, Adam and Eve only go back 6,600 something years. Yet, my family's generations and everybody else's generation who's alive today goes back for hundreds of thousands of years. So, this deity that you propose is not my maker, if that's what you were getting at, sir. Do you know your maker? It's like when the Hebrew Israelite come up. Do you know your nationality? Ah. But only teeth for fruits and animals who eat nothing but grass, sometimes eat meat. All predators have all predators that are carnivores. The main purpose, right? The main purpose is right. I did see that, like how your teeth are, you know, like for killing, for chewing, for ripping, for tearing. Um, yeah, I can. For the most part, that would fit. I'm with you, Tiffany. I'm tired of people using God and blaming all their problems on God instead of blaming themselves. That is probably one of the best sayings you can ever say. The true scapegoat, as we went through on this verse, that people have today is God and the devil. The devil made me do it, or the devil is after me, the devil is trying to steal, kill, and destroy me, or God is taking me through a season. God has asked want me to do this, or God wants me to do that. You first of all, you ain't got no proof that God or the devil is doing anything. Second, it's all you. It's This is why the hermetics are so important for people to understand. Everything that happens in your life is either your will or the will of another person. Sometimes you don't know the other person or that the other person is doing it. You don't know the outside will. That's what you're attributing to God. I lost my job. It's God's will? No. It's because the company's downsizing. And somebody on high decided that. Oh, I got a check in the mail from my real estate company, from my mortgage company. And I was praying because I needed some financial help, and God just delivered the check. No, somebody was going through the records and realized that you've been overpaying your insurance, that you overpaid your insurance for the previous year, 2 years, 3 years, and they have to, by law, send you that check. Hey, God, that was somebody doing a job. God didn't make man, man made God. You're exactly right. We have created it. Oh, yes. Or God said what God was trying to say. And I hate when people come to me, God told me, even when I was little, even when I was Christian, I hated when people say, God told me to tell you that you're supposed to be a pastor. I told them fools, God ain't told me no such thing. Because in my 20s, I was like, there's no way God is telling them that I'm supposed to be a pastor after he not showed me the shit that, and I believe that God had showed me the stuff at the time frame, showed me the stuff in Israel that I saw, showed me the things in Rome that I saw, showed me the things in Saudi Arabia and Turkey and Jordan and all these places. I'm like, because I was praying, God, show me this stuff because I want to be strong in you. I want to be able to go and preach this Christianity. Everything fell into place for it to be like, nah, bro, this ain't right. This ain't real. And now here you are trying to tell me that God, well, you preaching now? Oh, you got jokes? You got jokes, Brady? Sammy Lynn, you got jokes? Talking about I'm preaching now. I'm not preaching, but but they would come and they would tell me, and then them jokes, yeah, because you're gonna be a mighty man of God here in Marietta and Cobb County. And you're gonna bring people, you're gonna fight against and all this. I was like, no, 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 I'm not. No, I'm not. I was not going for that. And if God told anybody, He's gonna have to tell me. I'm not going on what somebody else said. Those are the same people that claim that we have free will. Right. Then some will say that the deity is controlling everything. Exactly. You cannot have free will if God has already marked everything for how it's going to be. I remember a woman tell me that she was told by the people at her church that she was supposed to go to this conference in Cleveland. And if she go to this conference in Cleveland, she's gonna find her husband. Right. And all the ladies were excited. They were going, her and all these other ladies were gonna go to Cleveland. She was gonna find her husband. But they never went. The way money went, they didn't go. I was like, oh. And I honestly said this. I said, if God told you your husband was in Cleveland at that conference, okay, you didn't go. If you are going to be obedient to this God, then you should wait for God to tell you where this person is going to be the next time so you can go. And she was looking at me strange because I then asked her, so if your husband is somebody else, because I wasn't at that conference, why are you dating me? Why? Why are you trying to date me? You should not try to date me. By dating me, you're going to interfere with what your God has told you where your husband is. And I wasn't at that conference. So why are you dating me? I think we should stop dating now. And she thought I was being mean, but I was literally, I'm trying to help you out. You said that your husband was at this conference. I wasn't at that conference. So evidently I'm not your husband. So you go on about your business. I've seen a lot of people give you a lot of grief. I tell you what, I like how you explain things and offer points to do your own research. I love when people go and do their own research. Don't take my stuff for shit. Take everything I say as a grain of salt until you go and study it yourself. I talked about Azazel today. Y'all should be going and study Azazel yourself. The Apocalypse of Abraham. Go read it for yourself. You know, do all that for yourself. There you go. 6 years she went down the rabbit hole and discovered just about everything is pretty much a lie. Boy, them rabbit holes will get you good. I love them rabbit holes. I love them rabbit holes. You come out them rabbit holes, you're like, God damn, I started over here and I wound up way over there. Peek my head out a few times over there. Seriously, you're a voice of the people. This live is a form of church. I know. I just don't like for people to admit it. Brady, I don't like for people. I just don't want to admit that. But you're right. I get it. I understood immediately what you meant by, I'm preaching now. And honestly, I did not start this to do this. But we about to go full head steam. I'm gonna wait till Friday to say something. Not Friday. We'll have a later live. Friday's live is gonna be later than normal because I got some things to do in the morning. But yeah, I got some stuff to tell y'all on Friday. They project their egos into the void, called it God, claiming it loves us all, trying to forcibly drag us into the embrace of its maw because they are too scared to go it alone. Personally, I prefer pizza. I know I prefer the spaghetti god on Saturn, the spaghetti god. I like the spaghetti god. I'm partial to the Italian like you, sir. But you're right. They take their egos and they force that into it being God, and they need people to back them up. Like this is one of the saddest things about humans is that we need other people to agree with us for us to be comfortable in something that in something that we are saying, something that we are doing, something how we are living our life. You don't need anybody to agree with you. If you believe that there's a spaghetti monster, or in my man, what's his name, in Glenn Gardner's, if there's a pizza god, then do that thing. Do that thing. Just like some of you crazy people on here trying to influence me to write my own spiritual book. That's a Bible, like my own version of a Bible. Y'all crazy ain't writing that because you know why I wouldn't write it, because if I wrote it, and it's becomes decently read, somebody will start it as a religion and claim that I was some kind of mystic being that was sitting down and all this kind of bullshit. And then people 2,000 years from now, we talking about Renz the Messiah or the God Renz or whatever and all this bullshit. Because it gets twisted. People twist this shit. People feel they're powerful enough to defend the Almighty, and then they realize what they were taught or believe is not knowing, then have an audacity to defeat deity. I'm a little confused on what you mean by that. I think you mean that people are taught that they are powerful enough to defend, to defend the Almighty. Scam calls. There should be a law that if you can't do these scam calls. I need to become president just for that one reason. But that's because you're connected and you know the game is to be told and not sold. You're right. You can't sell me on a deity. You can't make me you can't sit up there and say, oh, okay, in order to support, to defeat all evil and evil within yourself, you need this deity. All I need is self to do that. Like, I don't need the sage to get rid of negative energy. Some people might, but all you're really doing is activating your own self, your own consciousness. Some people put stones and stuff all over their house. I do. I mean, I got trinkets, I got things. I got them because I like them, but I have them because when it, I like them because I use them and like them because it also increases my ability to focus on what I'm focusing on. But what I know is that it is all coming from me. It is all coming from the energies around me. It is all coming from the energies of other people who join in likeness with me. It is not the object itself. I have an amethyst. Amethysts are supposed to, hold in energy and power. That's great. The power really is just here. But, because rocks hold heat, but that heat will dissipate if the fire is not constantly there. So you can have your amethyst, you can have your stones. The energy it holds will dissipate unless you are consistently giving it energy. So in truth, I don't need an amethyst. I don't need a stone because I am the source of that energy. All I need is to keep generating my source energy that comes from all of this. It ain't just from your mind, it ain't just from your emotions, it's all of this. And how you live your life and how you think and how you mentalize everything and how your action and all your actions that you take, those are the things that keep surging the energy, keep moving you forward, keep making you better, makes you stronger, makes you obey, gives you the strength to defend against some of the foolishness that people bring to you. You know, that's I don't delete people off my Facebook who constantly, like, it's a couple of people constantly got something to say. I was like, why are you even here? Why are you here? But you know what? They're making my numbers look good, so I'll keep them. But their negativity don't bother me, and when I do respond to some of them, I respond to them because it's like, oh, that's a good subject matter that I can talk about. Like, if y'all are ever like spend time with me and near me and that sort of thing, and I'm like scrolling through, you'll see me say, oh shit, that's a good video, or see a comment, oh, I can make a video about that comment. They provide me more ammunition. That's why I love them. I love all of them, all my detractors. I love y'all too. I love them detractors. The Bible is a codex for the body and the brain, all the plagiarism from ancient Kemet. Not just Kemet, but Kemet, Sumeria, and dare I say Atlanteans and Lemurians and whatever was before the Younger Dryas. Oh, you meant that there are multiple types of love, whether towards friends or food. While everyone is entitled to their own delusions of God, doesn't change that words like God's are misnomers. Words like God are misnomers. But I get what you're saying. But I don't have problems with people using incense because I use them. When I'm meditating, it's good to have incense. I don't want to be smelling. I mean, not like my house stinks or nothing like that. It doesn't stink. Angelina, house don't stink. Make sure you understand that. Not like the house stinks or anything like that. But it's just the aroma helps you focus. Right? And there are times where I'm not focused. So I'll use those things. I keep a Tibetan bowl with me at all times. Everywhere I go, there's a bag with me, and it got two very important things in there: my Tibetan bowl and my 9 mil. Yeah, some Rastafarians believe. Pretty much, I thought that was all Rastafarians believe that Haile Selassie is their Messiah. Isn't that the basis of the Rastafari? I thought. I could be wrong, but I thought that was all the Rastafarians. That's the basis of their religion was Haile Selassie. Great man, but a deity? I'm going to say no. And I say great man because I don't know a lot about him. I just know that he did a good job running Ethiopia. So your piece, your per piece. I wonder if you have ever heard of the new study showing that showing that have no inner voice can't critically think. I haven't seen a study on that one. That's interesting. That if you don't have an inner voice, then you can't critically think. Huh. So Haile Selassie is supposed to be a messenger. Okay. Kind of like Elijah Muhammad, supposed to be a messenger, which the other Muslims don't agree with. Isn't it interesting how the Nation of Islam and other Muslims don't the world of Islam don't recognize the Nation of Islam as being Islamic? Your peace and your peace. Got jokes. That's where is that supposed to be Oprah or Ope? I don't know where Opea comes from. And Negus means royalty. Yeah. You know what I hate? I hate how people, and maybe you're one of those people, I'm not sure. They use Negus to mean the Nigga. And I'm like, y'all, that's some ignorant shit there. I'm trying to force something. Negus and that word don't coincide with each other at all. The Baphomet is depicted with dreadlocks. I don't think I've ever seen a Baphomet with dreadlocks. I'm gonna have to look that up. Not sure if that study took it deep enough. It might be that they confuse their inner voice for God because they are told not to think critically as a child. There are also the Nagas people. Yeah, the Nagas is a people though, but they were in and make sure I'm not confusing them. But the Nagas, that's because I was about to confuse the Nagas with the Dogon tribe. But the Nagas, that's the out of Hindu, I believe. If I'm mostly out of the Hindu tradition is where the Nagas come from, and those were like some level of like how they got levels of angels, a level of kind of spiritual beings. I haven't read about that in a long ass time, so I could be wrong on that one. Shit, I hate being wrong. I hate being wrong. Throw that ring. I gotta go to Dr. Google. Right. So they were right in Sanskrit, Hindu. The Nagas was pretty much a race of half humans, sometimes half serpents, that belong to the Atala. Right. These are the Hindu people, Hindu, Buddhism, and Jainism. But of course, Hindu is the one that they all came out of. Right. Because I almost confused them with the Nomo with the Dogons, which is interesting. The Nomo are like half fish looking people, but these are half human, half serpentine looking people, but or fish looking. But so they the Nephilim. Inner voice is God's inner voice is you are God. It is not all, but not the all. At least that's what I think, and I agree with you. Serenity. Your inner voice is part of the all, but it's not the all. Kind of like when we went through the whole thing with the all is in all, but all is not the all. So it's part of your connection. When you cultivate your instinct, your inner voice gets cultivated, where you get more into the flow of the universe, the flow of how you should move and how you should go throughout your life. Your actions then become more in sync um, with the universal pattern that fits your mental imagery of what you want to create, how you want to live, what you desire to have in your life, what you desire other people to have in your life, your effects on other people. Cultivating that instinct and not allowing for rationale, I mean, not rationale, for emotional or rational thought to sway it in the opposite direction, but to actually help fine tune it is my goal and how I think about it. So that you saw said that there are people that have absolutely no inner voice at all. That is hard to believe that they don't have any inner voice. That's a sad existence. No, I'm not gonna. I can't get down with you on that one, Samuel. The word Nagas, first, Nagas is a Hindu Sanskrit word. It has nothing to do with Africa. It has nothing to do with the color or the term, the word negro. Negus has nothing to do with color, negro. Negro was what they used to identify from the Spanish and the Portuguese to identify black people, and then the Dutch. But they flipped negro to mean Nigga. Has nothing to do with Negus, nothing to do with Nagas. It is not, there's nothing positive about that at all. At all. The last physical altercation that I got into was because another black man decided he was going to keep calling me that after I asked him not to. He decided to take a swing at me. No, there's absolutely no facts behind negus that those Europeans knew what negus was and said, let's flip the word negus to make it negative towards these people. No, they used negro. That's how they describe black people. Just like they had mulatto and other words like that to describe the person based on their color and or heritage or ethnicity. It is not negus or nagas. That is modern day people trying to flip it and trying to make it since like people keep using it instead of trying to teach people to not use it. Let me give you a swerve so that you can feel better about using it. That's it. It's really that simple when it comes to that word. That's why in here, you come in here, if you use that word, you paying money. I fine you. And if you don't want to pay the fine, you can get the hell out. It's really that simple. And most of these jokers just pay the fine. And they know people come other places who come here. They know there are three words you don't use in here. You don't use that word. You don't use the B word. I don't care if women call themselves that. You do that outside here. But in here, we don't use it. Especially because I got women who come here. And these dudes are not going to be using that term because it's different when a man uses it. And then, call them using the garden tool word, not using that. But anyway, I'm going to get off that. I think people understand that the word God is an adjective. They begin to understand the concept better. It's not a name or a specific entity. True, it's not. And it used to be fun when the Muslim guys were like, "Oh, your God don't have a name. My God name is Allah." I was like, "That's just Arabic for freaking God, man. It's the same damn thing." But if there was a God, nobody would even, it wouldn't have a name. It wouldn't be, it wouldn't restrict itself to the basics of humanity, the basic of a man's mind. A man's mind is too finite to even understand something as simple as if it had a name. And if there was this deity, what need would it have to have a name? If it is, if the creator is all by itself, sitting around chilling, and deciding, you know what, let there be light. I'm gonna make a universe. Why would it need a name? It's the only person, it's the only thing that is existing at its level. So what name does it need? It doesn't need one. It would be ridiculous to have one. So therefore there is none. But man must identify everything, define everything. So in trying to define and identify and describe everything, we give things names. I mean, this deity in these books got human characteristics. It's jealous, it's smelling sweet aromas, it's walking in the cool of the day, it's, you know, angry and jealous and loving and all these different human qualities. This being would be above any human quality, whether we deem them good or bad, would be above it. Because they're also, when they came down from the river Niger, but in India they are Asians. They call them coolie, or coolie is not derogatory. Yeah, I've heard people try to use the Niger one too. I leave it alone, man. If people want to believe that NIGGA is something that they tried to make that was positive, they tried to make negative, and you're trying to make it positive, I'll let you go on your own way with that one. It makes no sense to me. It's never made sense to me. I don't believe in taking something that they use to strip us of our humanity, strip us of our culture and our family and who we are, and try to flip it and make it into something endearing. It will never be endearing. Never. Because it is a new word that was made up more recent times than not. No different. That trying to rewrite that is the same, is on the same level of trying to, of these, this Bible trying to rewrite the Babylonian, Kemetic, Sumerian, Atlantean story. It's on the same line. And if you say that they're trying to rewrite that and they've taken that and trying to make it their own, that's the same thing you do with that word. Same way. You can try to explain it. It don't matter. I'm just saying. I look at things exactly how they are on both sides of the fence. I can't claim this Bible has stolen all this stuff and rewritten all this stuff and tried to make it into great propaganda for them stuff, and then sit up here like, yeah, but us black people, though, what we did, it was niggas and Nagas. Nagas ain't got nothing to do with black people. The original understanding of the Semitic people is that their God doesn't have a name. Not that it didn't have a name. I can't get with you on that one, Boondocks. The name was so important to them that if they said it wrong, that they thought that they would die. So then they tried to figure out other ways of saying it. You know, like it was your, it was Yahweh would be the closest rendition of it. I think you said something about that. Yeah, Yahweh or Yahweh or Jehovah translated. Now the Jehovah part is completely wrong. It should never have been translated to Jehovah. That's a mistranslation. Uh, but Yahweh was originally a Canaanite god. Or Yahweh wasn't even a Hebraic god at first. It was a Canaanite god. And as I in there, and it seems evidential that, and it could be wrong, but the first people who became Hebrews were actually worshippers of the Aten out of Egypt. And then as they mixed with the Canaanites, the Aten became Yahweh to them. and they took on the Yahweh Canaanite name as the Bronze Age during the Bronze Age collapse. And then they took, but Canaanite, the Yahweh had a wife named Asherah, and then they got rid of the wife. Now the northern Israelites were worshiping Jehovah; they were calling him Jehovah. But the northern Israelites went into captivity, and since the southern kingdom of Judah didn't, they said, well, hell, because they were worshiping Jehovah, they were kidnapped. I mean, they were taken by the Babylonians. We just remained a vassal state of the Babylonians and weren't kidnapped. So we're going to keep worshiping Yahweh. And they believed that they were being punished. And there was a separation for a while between Yahweh and Jehovah. Then they brought them both together during, I think, Josiah's reign, during the time of Josiah. God is the name that man gave it. But for me, I use divine intelligence, divine source. Yeah, I just call it the all. Because all means all, and that's all means. So I use the all. Even before I read the Kabbalion, I used the terminology of the all. All different things, but many, but the nameless takes many forms, but the form, but is formless. Can't be, can't be for one, because then it would be against others. That sounds very Taoistic. Sounds very Taoistic, because the Tao talks about the formless and the nameless. Hold on for a minute. No problem, man. Boy, I got him trained. No, the business next door to me got a delivery, so he trained up to know to bring it to me. Won't be for long. Brother Sanchez said Negus was described as a spiritual system to describe black people before they started calling us Negroes. Negus is a Sanskrit word out of India. Now, granted, original Indians coming out of Africa, sure, but still, the point is, Negus is a Sanskrit word. It's a Hindu word. So it's not relatable. Right. You can find where Yahweh, the Canaanite Yahweh, was a storm deity. The Yahweh connects with Saturn under the Babylonians, I believe. I missed some people. What's the significance of the recent Pentagon ET disclosure? Could we successfully ascend to the age of Aquarius with all that is currently happening? I believe the Pentagon thing is twofold. One is a distraction, but two, it is also, as they have been preparing us for 50 plus years for the revealing of higher, more technically advanced civilizations that will be revealed that they've already been here. They're here. They never left here. They are here. They are Earthlings. I don't think anybody actually came from a whole nother planet. I think these people, if they did, they came from Mars when Mars had an atmosphere and it was a habitable planet, or Venus when Venus was in the habitable zone. But they're preparing us to meet those who were probably the Anunnakis or Dogons, or I mean not Dogons, or Nomos or Nagas, or any of them. I think it's a preparation of people to get ready to meet them. There is one theory or conversation where those deities who were here, those beings who were here before the Younger Dryas, have been at war this entire time, and that the ones that favor us, like saying Inky side versus Enlil side, and Inky side is winning, and so that they will then join in with us and be part of, you know, sharing the earth. But we'll see. Will it happen at could we successfully ascend to the age of Aquarius with all of that's going on? Yeah. We the age of Aquarius is going to come whether people like it or not. It's going to come. But it's a higher age of enlightenment. And we can see that the grounds of that are being laid right now. That's why people are walking away from all religion. All religions are being affected. It's not just Christianity that's losing churches and losing people, but Islam is losing people. Now they'll tell you the numbers are growing, and they are growing because of birth rates, but they are also dying because people, as they get older, are walking away from it. So the more and more people have walked away from it, those birth rates will then start becoming lower. Remember, it takes about 150 years to transition from one age to another age. Most of us will not live to see the true age of Aquarius being fulfilled, because I think that will be in the somewhere around like late 2100s. I was wondering, what do you think of Jordan Maxwell? He had the same idea a lot on a lot of things. Also watching on, I don't know who Jordan. I don't know who that is. Jordan Maxwell. Oh, Jesus is coming back soon to do nothing. Why? If Jesus came back, if anybody, nobody would believe it. David Koresh said that he was Jesus. They ain't believe it. How would you be able to prove that you was Jesus? Right? If you come back and you try to say that you're fulfilling this Bible, okay, well, all this shit got to happen. We got to see some all the blood in the all the waters have to turn to blood. Wormwood asteroid need to fall. You know, the Antichrist got to come. A third of the population got to die. Right? It's a whole bunch of stuff that's supposed to happen first, and you got to have all that happening before Jesus come back. He got to come back. Depending on how far your DNA goes back to how deep you are rooted. Well, if you think about that, everybody's DNA goes who's alive today. Their DNA is going back hundreds, 100,000 plus years. Because in order for you to exist, you have to have a DNA ancestors that's been continuous for hundreds of thousands for as long as Homo sapien has been on the planet. So everybody who's alive today. The only way a DNA strand stops is if somebody is born and then they don't produce children. Then that Akashic record for that person, there's no continuous line. But if you're alive today, your DNA continues. I have 3 kids. My DNA continues into my 3 kids and all the generations back. Those 3 kids, if they have kids, that DNA, that Akashic record still continues. So it's more about people being able to contact, get in connection with all that DNA, because it's in all of us. Another rumor is our government is planning to manufacture a negative perception of aliens before 2027 gets here. I think that there are some, like this war that I was told about between the previous Younger Dryas entities, but they were trying to say they were aliens. I was like, nah, they're previous Younger Dryas. There are some governments that are on, say, let's just use Enlil and Inky. There are some on Enlil's side, there's some on Inky's side. Hence World War One, World War Two, fighting on both sides of it. Whether it's the hollow earth people, which it wouldn't be a whole hollow earth, it's just a deeper cavern into the earth. Anybody living in the center of the earth. Oh shit. He got to do more than that. I seen David Blaine. Oh, he gonna have to do a hell of a lot more than that. See, I need to be president because I just tell y'all everything. I'd be like, here are all the secrets, damn it. We're gonna know everything. So either we all ascend or we all fall. Right? Nobody's gonna like you're gonna have to perform some things that is bigger than like my man said, Skybox said, David Blaine. You're gonna have to do some stuff. Like you need to come in front of me and material and take this cup and turn it into an apple. And you're gonna have to do it. And I'm gonna have to set up the situation for you to do it. Because I ain't gonna trust you because you might be just pulling some magic. Some kind of sleight of hand. So the government will blow that right off my head mid sentence. Oh, you know it. I pull out that book. Okay, so Area 51. Let me tell you what's really going on. Pow! Oh yeah. See, that's why I would have to figure out a way that I can like do it without them knowing, and it hit. And it's too late because I ain't trying to die. I want. I need. They promised me flying cars. I need my flying cars. I need my med bed. I need a whole bunch of technology first. The New Testament and the antithesis is an antithesis of the Old Testament, which itself is an antithesis of the ancient text. You are absolutely right, sir. They do consistently go against each other because they are written for the time frame of the people who are in control at that time frame. What would you suggest as the most trusted source for DNA tracing your ancestors? Um, I know 23andMe sucks. Some people they do like African ancestry but it's only one sided. It only does one side of your family. I really can't say. I've never done one of them, and I haven't really put the time in to study the results of those and talk to people about them. Back in the early 90s, when I lived in the mid 90s, when I lived in Germany, I was able to just trace family through paperwork. If you want to go through the theory of the fallen angels, there's more than just Adam and Eve children running around. Yeah, if you buy into that one, there would be more than just Adam and Eve kids. There would be a whole bunch of other types of beings that are running around. Shape like Azazel, who was one of the fall, as we talked about earlier. Azazel, one of the fallen angels, who was also getting down with human women. He was also a shapeshifter. So that would lend credibility to the people who talked about, you know, some of these world leaders are shapeshifters. Has anybody on here done the DNA testing and found what was your thoughts on it? So then they say that Putin killed me? Probably. You know, it'd have to be somebody like that. Don't be telling me that some rogue dude like Lee Harvey Oswald or trying to blame it on some little one person. You better, if somebody killed me, goddamn, you better be important. You better be important. I don't want no little scrubs claiming they the ones killed me. I don't even know Ruby claiming that they killed me. I need somebody else some got some power. Maybe Kim Jong Un or somebody. So you like to remind the Christo fascists. I like that one. Christo fascists. By reminding them that their stance on abortion and purpose of marriage, then reassure them Jesus is just as excited as they are to take these proud boys and his brides as his brides. Yep. And he has not yet come in the flesh, and he's no doubt saving himself just for them. It's so funny. Both sides claim to be Christian. A lot of them claim to be Christian, and then have totally different views on how they should govern based on that Christianity, and will go against what the book actually says. You know, the book actually gives a recipe for um, self-induced miscarriages if the husband thinks that the wife might not be carrying his baby. They got a formula for you to drink the formula. If you have a miscarriage, then yeah, you sin and that's somebody other man's baby. But if you don't, if you drink that shit, you gonna miscarriage 99% of the time. 23andMe confirms some of my family history, Native American and European and Spanish. They also linked me to no relatives. I was glad because they confirmed my dad's side. See, 23andMe, I'm mixed on it. My middle child did 23andMe, and from my dad's side of the family and some of my mom's side of the family, it was on point. It was Nigerian. It was Mali. It had the Italian, and it had the little English people, little Scottish people. But for my daughter, it had none of the Native American. And let me explain why 23andMe failed on that part. There, like on my side of the family, my grandmother on my mother's side just has a little bit of Cherokee in her, but I mean Creek in her. But on her mother's side, her grandfather is like half Cherokee Indian. I mean, not Cherokee, shit, Creek Indian. And then another tribe as well. His his parents were like full blooded and I mean full half and half. His grandparents were full blooded Creek Indian. 23andMe didn't give her no Creek Indian. There's absolutely no way that little girl should not have gotten Creek Indian in hers. So that's what makes me a little bit, and that's my own personal thing. That's what makes me a little skeptical of 23andMe. But beyond that, um, but that's just my experience with 23andMe. Are so-called planets real? Aren't these luminaries just stars within our enclosed Earth? I mean, we are surely not spinning in space, are we? First of all, the planets are real. Uh, Too many satellites been out there, Voyager, all them kind of things. We do not live in an enclosure. The enclosure was only Eden. Eden is the enclosure. Uh, this whole firmament flat Earth thing, we are not on flat Earth, and yes, we are spinning. But understand, the Earth spinning at 1,000 miles per hour means that because people don't take volume of size into account when you think about Earth spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. At 1,000 miles per hour in an hour, the Earth would only rotate about 3 feet. And then taking AP physics, you understand that everything we have an atmosphere. Everything is spinning. Just like when you're in a car, you're driving 60 miles per hour. You are moving at 60 miles per hour because you're in the car. You're in a vehicle that is moving at 60 miles per hour. So you are moving 60 miles per hour. If you get thrown out of the car, initially you are moving at 60 miles per hour, but now you're outside of the car. So you are not. That's why you get thrown backwards, because now you're not moving at that same speed. You don't have the acceleration. As long as you're within the atmosphere, you are moving at that same rate because the atmosphere is like the car. Um, when you have a fly in your car, the fly is moving at 60 miles per hour plus whatever speed it is moving around the car, inside the car, and it can move around. Yet it is still moving at 60 miles per hour and doesn't get thrown out of the car and splat against the back window because it's not moving itself at 60 miles per hour. So you could be the science of physics allows for the planet to spin and you not feel the spin because you're part of the spin. You don't feel the 60 miles per hour that you're going in the car. You only feel a little bit of something when you accelerate real fast and you get a slight kickback because your body now is adjusting to that higher G. So no, we the earth spins. The earth is a ball. It ain't a perfect ball, but it's a ball. And I hate when people like have a spinning ball and then pour some water on it. And tell me the ocean will just fling off. Your globe that you just used does not have an atmosphere around it. But yes, we're spinning and we're going around the sun. And the sun is going through the Milky Way galaxy. We're all moving. Nothing stands still. Everything moves. Right. It's interesting. I think it's a part of the puzzle. I think it's a part of the puzzle. Uh, but I don't think, yeah, nothing is, it's nothing, none of those DNA things can be 100% because it's not like they're taking DNA from bodies that were like, you would have to take the DNA strands from a body that's 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years old when people had less contact and less intermarriage to really be accurate. If you think about it, to really be accurate, they're comparing the DNA to more modern people's DNA, and but those DNAs have been mixed up themselves. You know, can you imagine? Like the people in the Levant, people in North Africa, their DNA has been mixed all up with Greeks and Romans and India and African and everybody else throughout these centuries. So they should have those DNA markers. The depth of those are different. Just like when that in that Chinese study, they realized that Chinese people DNA fits East African. Oh, I didn't know that. Samuel was saying when they first invented cars, they thought the centrifugal force would make your body collapse if you went 28 miles per hour. Yeah, and we test these things. They thought that breaking the sound barrier that your body would get screwed over as well, or that you blow up the planet. The way they show the plane is rotating and go back and forth. Is that like on a flat plane? Technically, a planet is a plane of land. I've never heard that before. It's real as long as we're humans, and as far as we know, when you get into quantum physics, the real takes in. Yeah, quantum physics is a whole nother thing. I haven't studied quantum physics in a long ass time though. That's true. About the idea that we would explode moving too fast in a fast car, and all people have mixed with each other over decades. Yeah, we all have mixed. Um, I don't know, but how fast does it have to be? I mean, granted, you're all right. We do have to when when we enter into certain environments, we do have to use some type of pressurized environment or suits in order to for our bodies to withstand that pressure. Like we're not built to go too deep into the ocean. We're not built to go too high into the atmosphere. It's too much damn pressure. When it comes to speed, G-force, we're not built to handle certain levels of speed. It would mess up our body, fracture our bones, explode your innards, all that kind of thing. So we develop suits to protect us from that. But as far as spinning on the earth, we fine. We good with that one. You can do quantum physics as light work. Go ahead, bro. I haven't spent too much time studying quantum physics. Oh shit. If a god fractured himself into the periodic table per million quantum physics. So ultimately, salt being pure blood is a way to connect, but the power is the fraction. Yeah, quantum physics. You're a little bit out of my league with quantum physics. You gotta remember, I'm 51 years old. Last time I took a physics class in 1990. Nope, 1989. When did I graduate? Well, no, I was still in there, so technically 1990. The last time I took a physics class. Read about some stuff here and there, picked up some things here and there. Every now and then, listen to some of these panels when they're talking about quantum physics. I need for them to figure more out before I give more time to it. Like the fiber optics, the light fractures, and then comes back together. Yeah, and we're finding more and more about um, how those lights are affected, how those patterns and fractures are affected when they're observed and when they're not observed, and all that sort of thing. Or you can say bending light. Look, y'all getting out of my wheelhouse. I'm about to sit here and just look at y'all and read what y'all saying. But that's the beauty of this. Like we can learn from each other. But what are we talking about now? We can't keep talking about quantum physics. I mean, we can, but we can't. We can, but I can't say much about it. You're gonna go beyond me when we get into quantum physics. You will go beyond me. I just want them to figure it out so I can, go into like the quantum realm or some shit. Now we're talking about spirituality. That's a little bit different. Mentally, going beyond the realm that we're in, that's a different part. I'm a little bit deeper in that. But physically, like I want to do that Interstellar movie. Drop me off at the nearest black hole. The only color that's not in the rainbow is blue. It's actually indigo, but the sky is blue. So then wouldn't the sky be indigo and not blue? I could be wrong. I'm asking. Because the rainbow is created by the different light fracturing through the water, light penetrating the water molecules and everything. And if there's no blue in a rainbow and it's actually indigo, and then our blue sky is the light going through the water in the sky, and that's what makes it blue. I literally had somebody tell me that the sky was a reflection of the ocean. And I was like, really? You think that's a big ass mirror and it's just reflecting the ocean? If that was the case, there'd be parts where you would have gaps because there is no ocean. It would be reflecting land. The land would cause gaps, and there would be like black gaps. But what time is it? We might. We're at the 2 hour mark. All right. What else y'all want to talk about? Otherwise, I'm gonna get off here and act like I'm gonna do some work. Also, I'm getting hungry. Okay, it's bouncing. I'll do some research on that one, Sammy, because the light does change, but also the light intensity has changed when you have dawn and dusk. There's a different intensity of light. So would that not have an effect as well? Is the weather really chaos? Samuel said, let's talk about this chaos weather. And Skybox says this mass shooting in Jacksonville. Okay, so what is the mass? We can talk about both of them. Said the mass chaos weather will be the lumens. What's the mass shooting in Jacksonville? I don't. Okay, so for y'all, so y'all know, I don't watch a lot of American news. Most of the American news I get comes from when people come in here and they're talking about it. I watch African news and mostly African political news, or changes in government, changes in policies. Because y'all know I'm gonna leave y'all. Y'all can have America after a while. So I don't know about this mass shooting in Jacksonville. I think somebody mentioned something about it the other day, but didn't go into it, or I just wasn't paying attention to them at the time. Because sometimes we can be having 3, 4 conversations at the same time in here. Different groups are having different conversations. So tell me about this mass shooting. The weather, chaotic weather, is some. I do know, and I say no, not believe, that we have been striving for and have made a lot of inroads in controlling the weather. I don't think they've perfected it enough to use it as a weapon quite yet. Like these storms that are coming through every year, that's history. That's normal. That's the way the earth functions. The Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico lives. It's part of Hurricane Alley, as they say, like Tornado Alley. Are we affecting some of that? Sure. Are we affecting that intentionally and unintentionally? Yeah. Is the earth fighting against the intrusion of the virus called man? Yes. Oh, and finally, free on Hulu, they got this series called After Humans. Oh, it's great. It talks about how the world would start being if the humans all died. Doesn't tell you why the humans died, just if they died. The sky is actually blush purple. Okay. And I've heard Project Bluebeam, but I think most of our chaotic weather is because the earth goes through cycles. Whether we're here or not, the earth will still go through cycles of cooling and warming, different things will happen. I've seen the things on Project Bluebeam and HARP. We are working towards and achieving at certain levels weather control. When it's perfected, that's when you'll be able to tell the perfection of weather control in 2 different ways. Targets, if let's say America develops it, we will target not only our own people here in order for political and economic reasons, but you will see us targeting certain enemies and things of that nature. It will not be benevolent. It will not be, oh, let's send rain over the Sahara Desert and all these other deserts to make them green so that we can have more bounty for the people. That ain't gonna happen. Hold on, partner. Hold on, Boondocks. Slow your roll, bro. Hurricane Idai could potentially cause a lot of chain damage in northern Florida and half of Georgia. Hopefully the southern half. I'm in North Georgia. Don't do that. Don't do that. It could become a Category 5 Wednesday morning. Hey, I got things to do Friday morning. I need clear skies Friday morning. I got outside things to do. But I don't hang around hurricanes. When I lived in Florida, when Mitch was supposed to hit Tampa, I left. Damn hurricane followed me to Georgia though. You said it was mass shooting at a. I need more. Like, who did the mass shooting at the dollar store? Interesting transfer of energy. First, it will double dip into the Atlantic and boomerang back to Georgia and Florida. Hey man, leave Georgia alone. Whether the old deities had weather control tech, they may have, and that could explain some of the things that they was talking about. But I don't think they had full weather control tech. Um, According to the Sumerian story, Enlil couldn't do anything about the polar caps melting. And only thing he could do, they just were able to know when it was going to happen. So that's what the meteorologist is saying. Well, that's the only job in the world. That's one of the few jobs in the world where you can be wrong half the time and still keep your job. So hopefully they're wrong, because they're guessing based on, because they don't know which way the current is going to go, and then that current will determine where the current and the winds will determine where that hurricane goes. You're going to experience mosquitoes with dengue fever. And it's going to make you feel like your bones are breaking, suggests that a snow cocaine, making it snow cocaine from a plane during. Hmm, damn, y'all just killing the world. Mosquitoes gonna make you die. I mean, feel like you want to die. So it's raining in Florida right now. Oh, it's not raining in Florida. Seems like meteorites get worse as time goes on. We used to dress based on the weather report. Ah, I'm with you. These jokers in Atlanta show can't get their shit straight. They'll tell you it's gonna rain in Atlanta, and it really depends on where you at. It's schizophrenic weather here. They get paid just to spin a wheel. You know, nah, leave that alone. And Doppler 9000 is a joke. We live in places where we just really shouldn't live. We really do. Um, my theory is always one, as far as cold is concerned, if you can't exist outside butt ass naked, you ain't supposed to be there. Every other animal on the planet can live in their environment with however they were born. Humans are the only animal on the planet that go live places where you can't survive in your natural state. So we ain't supposed to be in a lot of these places. You know, the only reason I would live in the Caribbean is because I can get on a plane and leave when the weather that crazy. But if you look at, there are some places where we can live and not have to deal with that kind of stuff. Wade say he know one thing. He putting some chicken on the grill. Come rain, snow, sleet, hail, or hurricanes. Right. We're meant to be equatorial, close as possible. Hey, that's what I'm saying, Skybox. I keep telling people this. That's where we're supposed to live. We're not even supposed to live here in Atlanta. Atlanta gets too cold. Even for those few months that it gets too cold, it's too damn cold. You would die. So the Caribbean will be underwater. Yeah. I mean, most of the islands of the Caribbean will, if the water level rises, say 10 feet, then most Caribbean islands will be underwater. Some of the mountainous islands will still have some peaks sticking up, but 10 feet pretty much will flood out most of the Caribbean and all of Florida. Po Wade and his chicken on the grill will be gone if that happens. I was reading something about Brexit being another way for the powers to be to plunder the resources of other countries. Brexit is really interesting to me. On the one hand, they're causing Americans to be so fearful because they're saying that if those countries go away from using the petroleum dollar, it will destroy the American economy. I think the American economy is too big for that to destroy it. Uh, and those countries, they have great oil, but they don't have enough oil. They'll damage the dollar, but I don't think they'll destroy the dollar. I saw one girl talking about you'll have to multiply everything by $55. By 55, that like the cost of something today, if China and with China, Russia, South Africa, it's China, Russia, South Africa, Um, it's 5 countries. It'll damage the dollar, but I don't think it'll destroy the dollar. No. And then we would go, but the beauty of it is we would go into a recession, and then during recessions, it's the greatest time to make money in America. I'm thinking Brazil or West Coast of Africa. I am definitely West Coast of Africa. East Coast Africa I got different reasons that I would live in different countries, but on the whole, it would be West Coast Africa, Togo and Benin. Yep, Wade, you're gonna be on the water. Glad you're laughing. If you don't see any rain in that went away real quick. You don't see any rain in Florida. I guess I got to put some more power into Idalia and Franklin, maybe. Hey man, leave Franklin alone. And my lady Angelina get mad at you about Franklin. You combine them and make them into a wind turbine, because Franklin might hit where her family is at. That's in Wilmington. Ice cap is melting. Melt is accelerating. Canada has been on fire all summer. Alaska and Siberia are on fire. I didn't know that Alaska and Siberia was on fire as well. Damn. I knew Hawaii was on fire. Is it wrong that I really want to see all the polar caps melt just to see what happens? I just want to see what happens. Kind of wrong. I mean, I don't want people to get hurt, but I kind of want to see that. Right. Well, it is kind of wrong. Is it wrong that it makes people poor people fear the recession and the stock market crashes? Poor people do fear it, but and understand my psychology. After you turn 30, you grown. If you ain't figured out, you should be figuring out how to take advantage of everything just like rich people do. If you don't, that's your fault. That's your fault. If you living at your means, that's your fault. If you living above your means, that's your fault. It may not be the nicest living, but then make yourself more valuable in the marketplace so that you can live at a level that's good for you, that you're satisfied with. And then after that, learn how to play the game like rich people. I don't understand why every person doesn't have a LLC so that you can write shit off on your taxes and stop paying as much in taxes so that you can have more money to invest in things. Everybody should have an LLC. Everybody should put everything that they buy into a trust. If you buy land, that land should be in a trust so that you can pass it, so that when you do pass it down, you pass down who is the trustees, your whoever you want to will the trustees over to, so that they don't have to pay all these high ass death taxes and other capital gains taxes and all these other taxes when somebody dies and they leave you property. Like, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you should play the game the same way that rich people are playing the game. Yeah. This guy got 2,000 acres of land. You got 1 acre of land. Both of y'all should have y'all shit set up the same way. Therefore, hopefully, your next generation has 20 acres of land because they're playing the game the right way. Methane in the permafrost is getting released into the atmosphere. Methane accelerates. Yeah, it does. And then with all these damn animals that we grow in order to feed people, that with the caps melting, that methane will mess some stuff up. It's not that hard to collapse the economy. The elites already nearly already pulled it off, which is why all the mouthpieces in the media are so baffled that the current administration so quickly reversed it, even though the price going through the bill was blocked by the very ones decrying gas prices. Yeah, they can, controlling the economy is not really that hard. It's not. But they make it seem difficult so that people will suffer. And sometimes, in their minds, to keep the economy moving, it has to go through these ups and downs. Thunderstorm and flooding in the Arctic for the first time in human history. Yeah, and actually, warmer temperatures in the Arctic and Antarctic. They're experiencing that for the first time in like hundreds of years. Yeah, if you fix it, they won't have anything to run. You're absolutely right about that. I remember I was in this meeting. Can't tell y'all what the meeting was. I wouldn't say it over the airways. That's for damn sure. You don't think you're grown until you have more days behind you than you have in front of you. I understand what you're saying, but at 30, I'm like, you have made some mistakes. You should be getting better at it. I ain't saying you got it fixed at 30, but this is you can no longer use the past excuse. In your 30s, you're fixing all the shit you fucked up in your 20s. By your 40s, you should start being moving forward and starting to have more, do better. In your 50s and 60s, you should be doing a lot better. I'm not. I've been a victim. I victimized myself in that one as well. Made some mistakes even in my 40s and 50s. Oh shit. Oh, I was in this meeting, and let me just put it like this: in your house, you have a house, and you got 10 bank accounts. If one bank account is showing that you got more money, that you made some money in that bank account, but all the other bank accounts are negative, and those negatives outweigh your positives, then you are negative. But in the government, it's different. If you have a positive, you claim that you have a surplus, but all your other accounts are negative. That doesn't make any sense. That's two plus two equaling five. It don't work. That's the accountant who says that two plus two can be whatever I want it to be. When math is math. We're in the middle of a mass extinction. Well, I'm gonna say yes and no to that one. Population growth by what was it? What year was that? 2070 or 2030? 2070 is expected to be 11 billion, something like that, around that time frame. I think we're going to top out around 11, 12 billion. And then we're going to see a decline in population. But I do think that there are processes, that there are things being done to try to minimize population growth right now. But the Earth will probably take us through the biggest mass extinction. You show me a boy who's 7 years old, been through more than an 80-year-old, 80 a man who is 80 and went through the Vietnam War. I would feel really bad about that 7-year-old boy because I know some Vietnam veterans who are up at them ages. They done been through some shit, especially some black ones. Oh yeah, Florida is screwed. When they criminalized their labor force, that was that was dumb as shit. By criminalizing their primary labor force at the bottom level, they are screwing their own economy. That shows how they get you to say, "We'll add 10% to your 100%," but then you owe us 10%, so you're 99% back. Repent and turn away from your sins. Jesus is coming. Y'all been saying that for 2,000 years, bro. Ain't seen him yet. Ain't seen Jesus. Ain't no Jesus. And I mean to use a double negative in that one on purpose. Ain't no Jesus. Jesus come back. Prove it. Prove it, Patrick. Paul thought Jesus was coming back during his time frame, according to that book. He didn't show up. Many different religions have spun off calling from Christianity into other variations of Christianity because they believe Jesus come back. Didn't show up. They've had many predictions of Jesus coming back. Didn't show up. That no new money have been printed since 2017. They're all saying 2018. Since 2018 has been all digital. I don't know. That's interesting Christian. I'm gonna look that up. See, now I said prove that Jesus coming back. They come back with, so who is your creator? Prove that Jesus came back. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mom and dad. So I give them more. I would give my mother and father more of my creator credit than I would give your Jesus triune God dude. But you still answer the question though. You see how they try. You ask them, they make a statement, you ask them to prove it, and then they go to another, they go some other direction because they can't prove the response. They can't respond to it. They can't prove it. Paul, when he seen Jesus in heaven, you lied to me, bro. You never came back. An interesting thing about Paul that if you go read the Bacchae, you'll see that with the demigod Dionysus, you have pretty much the same story as Paul in the Bible. So it makes you wonder, just like the what we talked about earlier, the apocalypse of Abraham. It was them trying to shoe in Jesus into the Old Testament. Paul was shooting based on trying to take the stories of Dionysus and make it into a biblical Christian story. But they can't answer them questions. That's why they never do. Money is funny. As a promissory note, you give them a bill, and in return, they give you a bill. Hey, it's just a money is mental. Money is a mental thing. Coach Renz keeping secrets. See, he's in the Illuminati. Man, I wish I was. I wish I was. To be honest, and that's an honest statement. I really wish. I know I don't qualify for the. Okay, so I don't think I would qualify for the evil version that people have of the Illuminati. You know, the trying to control the world and keep everybody in fear and all that. Now, the Adam Weishaupt ideal of the Illuminati to bring peace and reveal all secrets to all the people, and so people can get better and grow and all these kind of things. That idea of Illuminati, I want to be a part of that. So if any of those people who's a part of that is listening, please come find me. Please come find me. I want to be a part of that Illuminati. Illuminate the world. Let everybody know, you know, put the secrets, put the information out there, and let those who are equipped to handle it be able to take advantage of it. You know, it's like they say in the Kabbalion, or like Jesus keeps saying, for those who have ears, let him, you know, have better listen, or let him hear it, whatever. That's an Illuminati kind of thing. Hey, if you can understand this, then you better listen. Only the people who can understand this will listen. Will understand. Only people who can understand it can use it. You know, um, the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. I think I'm an ear of understanding. I need some of that Illuminati stuff. The projection of the Christ of Ansys. I might be reading that wrong. Yeah, but I would. Let me tell you, Illuminati come and recruit me. I will be recruited. I'm telling y'all right now because I want to know what they know and what they're doing. And then, you know, if it's something negative, I'll try to destroy it from the inside. If it's something positive, I'm about to roll with it. So please come recruit me. I will be a willing participant. Depending on what degree you are, determines what curse you receive. Don't join. There are good guys in there. Yeah, there are good guys in it. There are good guys and bad guys in everything. Just like when I was talking about Masons, there are good Masons, there are bad Masons. There are good people in politics, there are bad people in politics. There's good people in everything, bad people in everything. I honestly believe I'd be one of the good guys. Well, I don't believe it. I know it. I'd be one of the good guys. Just like I said, if I became president, I'm gonna tell y'all everything. I think I think people can handle more than what the government thinks people can handle. So if there are some pre-youngest dryas civilizations that are still around, but they're hiding in Antarctica or hiding in Mount Shasta or any of these other places, I think y'all can handle it. I think the people can handle that information. If we got technologies like med beds where it can heal damn near everything, I think people are ready for it, and it shouldn't be just for rich people. I think people can handle it. Yes, I mean, some industries will. You put a med bed out here, the medical and pharmaceutical industry will crash. I get it, and you're also going to have, yeah. I mean, some of the even the holistic medicines industry will crash. Oh, the vitamin industry is going to crash. A lot of those things will crash. But sometimes industries have to crash in order for progress to happen, right? So pivot. That's all I want to think. Hey, y'all got to pivot. We're going to put the med beds out. So y'all got to pivot, and we're going to make it affordable. So y'all just have to pivot. People no longer need to go to doctors. They no longer need to take medicines or do all these things. You only need surgeries if there's like accidents and things of that nature, and that depends on how quickly you can get to a med bed, because med bed take care of your surgeries. You know, it just becomes operators and people who keep the machines going. All these other people, they just got to pivot. And maybe that's the part of me that people will say that that's evil. But hey, you got to have some progression in life, especially for the betterment of people. Because why are there people suffering with diseases when they don't have to suffer with diseases if you have a med bed that will cure all these diseases? Give it to the people. Well, don't give it. I mean, you got to pay them. You got to make some money off of it because you got to pay people to maintain it and all this kind of stuff. But don't make it so costly that it just wrecks everything. Make it so that like a biometric, like what are they? Because I want to buy one, a hyperbaric chamber, right? You got the $80,000 versions, and you got your $5,000 version. You know, everybody can get one. Well, most people can get one. You know, make it affordable. If you can't afford to have one in your own house, then make it affordable where people can go to a place and they can get into a med bed. Bam, you're good to go. And it's not like it's a daily thing. You get into it one time, and damn, you're good for like as long as you don't have any accidents. You're good for a long ass time. Everything is energy. Everything has a vibration, and we need to learn vibration in certain diseases in order to eradicate them. Yep, I agree with that. What was his name? Have you ever heard Boondocks? I'm pretty sure you've heard of Dr. Royal Rife. He used sound waves in order to cure cancer. I think it was cancer that he used. He used sound waves to cure cancer. When he published his findings, the um, American Medical Association ransacked his office, and I think they might have killed him, or he disappeared, or something, or they ran him into obscurity. You know, that kind of bullshit we have to stop. If the private businesses can't even compete with the nonprofits in which the shareholders numbers millions, then it has zero business being a business. Yeah. Look, I consider myself a business person. I moved my popcorn shop around a bunch of different places. It worked in some, didn't work in others. Finally, just gave it up because my body can't handle doing that kind of work. Um, if for me, I will pivot in a second, in a heartbeat. I have no problem pivoting. Pivoting is, I don't understand why people struggle with it. I don't understand, because if the shit ain't working, if the marketplace don't like what you're offering, that is not the market's fault. That's your fault. And there's really no fault. It's just you keep moving. You just keep moving. Look, I've owned a cleaning company. I've owned a cleaning company. I own a sunglass shop. Well, it wasn't a shop, but I had kiosks in a mall, 3 of them, sunglasses on one, watches on another one, and candles on another one. I own a IT company Then there was a personal training company that turned into a gym and two personal training studios. Then I sold those. Then I own a popcorn company, and now I own a cigar company. And I'm about to do something different with the cigar company. Pivoting is just part of life. Pivot. I remember when I got out of the military in my transition program that I was going through, that lady told me that before I die, before I retire, I will probably have 6 different careers. I thought she was crazy because I grew up when people only had one career their whole goddamn life. My aunt, one of my aunts, have been working for AT&T a whole life until she retired. Started at 18, and then she just retired like a year or two ago. That's what I thought people did. That's not the world today. Pivot. Thought it was my phone. There will be no need for pharmaceuticals after that. No, there wouldn't be any need for pharmaceuticals after that. Yeah. My next adventure is literally to to get paid to go talk, to get paid to coach and talk. That's it. Coach and talk. I don't want to be inside a place anymore. I really don't. I don't want to be inside of a place. I don't want to have to wait for customers to come into a place. The world is digital. It's moving more and more and becoming more and more digital. Yeah, or change the name. Yeah, business 101 to diversify. My the next stage of my life is to make a living getting paid to run my mouth because it'll allow me to live wherever I want to live and give me back the most precious thing that I have, which is my time. My time is the most precious thing that I have. All right. So I'm about to pivot, even though I said I wasn't going to say this till Friday. I'm about to pivot so that I can get my time back. Nothing wrong with the Bible. You people just don't like it. I'm sorry, man. I'm not laughing at you daily. I'm not laughing at you daily. I'm laughing at your statement, but not you as a person. Okay. So let me be clear about that. It's your statement, not you as a person. Um, we don't like the Bible. There is a lot wrong with the Bible, first of all. That's what we're going through. That's why we went through it. That's why the majority of my videos are about that. But it is not because we don't like it, it's because we've read it and we realize how wrong it is. What's the name of the cigar company? Cigars is what I do. All right, Rob. That way up. It's called Smoking Phoenix Cigars. And there's a website for Smoking Phoenix Cigars. Ooh, what was that? You need a hot tub like a boy and and coming to America, smoking a cigar, and do your podcast. that, you know, the other night I was trying to think of different ways to change, like different personas and ways to change the cigar thing and how I want to do it. I know I'm going to do a cigar of the month club. That way it gets me out of here. But also, I do have a cigar channels there. I haven't given them as much attention as I should, but I'm going to increase the podcast. That would be something. Doing cigars and sitting in hot tubs and stuff. It's kind of like this girl that I had coached 4 years ago, 3 years, no, 3 years ago. Yeah, about 3 years ago, 3, 4 years ago. She just made a couple of videos. She rides motorcycles and she was butt naked with a helmet. And she would talk about different things, but she'd be laying in her bed butt naked with a helmet on, a motorcycle helmet on. I was telling her people will watch it just because you're butt naked with a helmet on. Like, that shit is cool. Catch you on YouTube, Cowboyism. All right. My cigar channel is on YouTube as well, but I need a lot more followers on that one. So follow that page on YouTube, Rob. Butt naked with a helmet on. She followed through. I don't know how long. If you ever go to Belize, you got to get the Funto tobacco. Okay, I check that out. I can remember that. It's not an antithesis of the ancient text. It's a copy of the ancient text. I've seen that his research is based on this on string theory. I don't know who he is though. Now we're back to the string theory because all right, y'all back on YouTube. Thank you for letting me know that the microphone died. But yeah, everybody needs to find their own path. It's not for everybody to have the same path. And I want that EDIL money. And I'm one of the other things that I'll be pivoting into is tax lien properties. Shit, I studied them enough. But it's just so adorable when you project. Oh, y'all talking about something that's between y'all. But yeah, you got to keep that pivot going. If you can't pivot, you're gonna die. I've been wanting to pivot into talking for a living for a long time, but the kids were little, taking care of in-laws, couldn't do it, couldn't reasonably do it. So that's why I've done things that I hate. Like I hate IT, but I did it anyway because the money was good. But now that the kids are all grown and everybody's situated and everybody doing their own thing and they don't require as much funding from me as they used to, shit. Time, and I've set other few things up. It is time for me to do things I want to. Veganism shouldn't be a religion. No, it shouldn't. Veganism shouldn't be a religion. It's just a way of life. But I'm very excited about the next quarter of my life. This 51 into 71. It's gonna be very, very interesting to be just a person who talks for a living and invest in tax lien properties and other businesses. To no longer be the operational guy. Oh, I ain't gonna know what to do with myself. The only operational person I'll be is doing this. And even at some point, I won't even, it'd be me talking and somebody else do a bunch of editing and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah, that person, people like to come in here and say their little Jesus stuff and then they run. Um, it's a nutritional lifestyle that may benefit many, but isn't the only way. No, it's not the only way. Like that's why I am not. I would never be vegan. I'll never be vegan because in the morning eggs are great. So I'll never be vegan. And every now and then I like my ice cream, and I'm gonna have my cream in my coffee. But during the week, I try to practice well, I've gotten back to practicing vegetarianism during the week. And then on the weekend, I'm gonna eat whatever the hell I want to eat. And I get to start exercising again on a regular. About 3 months. By the time my birthday comes, my born day comes around in October, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine, y'all. Y'all gonna see me on here trying to do shows with no shirt on. And then for Angelina to call and cuss me out, put your shirt on. Be up here shirtless, talking about what's wrong with the Bible. Hey, that's a stick. Shirtless with a cowboy hat. Topless with a cowboy hat. With Coach Renz. Probably lose half the people that follow me. He's just trying to use his body to get more people to look at, to watch his views. He's sensationalizing. It is funny though. I was with a crew 8-9 years ago that if I had followed their pathway, I could have a much bigger channel. But I just couldn't go. I couldn't go the route that they went. I couldn't. No, I couldn't do it. But more, I mean, yeah, everybody, like Serenity said, everybody has their own path, and you have to follow your own path. They were able to be on here for a living years ago. It will probably take me some more years before I get there. But it's all right. I'd rather do it my way than to do it my way and do it genuinely than do it being more of a shock jock kind of deal. And Samuel's right. Knowing your level of success is very important because my level of success doesn't have to be equal to yours, and yours doesn't have to be equal to mine or anybody else's. There are some people, if they became financially what we will on a line put as financially wealthy, they will be miserable because of what they have to do to get there and what they have to do to keep it. So you do have to find your own path and then be fine with it. Yeah. If you're not a materialistic person, and there's nothing wrong with liking material things. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want a big ass house and you want all these cars and all that, that's fine if you want it. If you gotta trample people to get to it, that's you. But if you don't like all those things, like I'm more of an experienced guy. Well, I'm kind of half and half. Certain levels of material things I do like, but there's other things. Like these guys are being here, and we be watching one of the car auction things, and they'll be like, "Oh shit, $80,000 for that car, $100,000 for that car, $500,000 for that car." I'm like, "Y'all crazy as hell. You think I'm gonna spend $500,000 on a car? I don't care if I made $1 billion. I'm not paying $500,000 for a damn car. I'm not that guy." My friend Troy has $1 billion. He will spend $500,000 on a car. He spent $1 million on a car. He's a car guy. That's just not me. Now, on the converse of that, if I said, "Troy, we're gonna go to this place," and the rooms, the suite villa costs $25,000 a night, Troy would be like, "Hell no." Whereas I'd be like, "Shit, we got the butlers, the maid, the chef. We live is lavish, it's nice. Everything got the saltwater hot tub, the saltwater pool. We got the saunas. I would live that. I would live that in a heartbeat." Um, Thoughts on crypto? Crypto, I don't look at crypto like money. I look at crypto like stocks. To me, you have to play crypto like stocks. Um, you know, you in and out with a rise and fall. You know, crypto becoming this major source of trade, I don't think it's going to have the longevity because anybody can create a crypto And then based on how many people, it's just like a dollar. How many people believe in it, follow it, use it, that gives it its value. I don't trust humans like that. What do you mean no sound? You still can't hear me? It's right here. Turn it back on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I'll wait for y'all to say something before. Can you hear me now? You should be able to hear me. I got a green light here. See the green light? The green light. But because I'm not a stock guy, I'm not a crypto guy. But if you can successfully navigate crypto, then it could be a great way of investment for you. It's supposed to split in March. The Bible is baby food. Is baby food, babies, but it helps more than it hurts. Please continue. Some people need it. The Bible is baby food, babies. I would say the Bible is baby food. It's more helpful now than it was, say, 50 years ago and beyond. It was just hurtful. Um, the new doctrines that people are preaching out of the Bible are better than the doctrines they used to preach out of it. But it also creates a whole bunch of hateful ass people who feel like they got to force you and dog you and discount you and separate themselves from you. Crypto could be a great thing if it was regulated, but because it's not, it's nothing more than a pump and dump getting 101 for beginnings, grifting for 101. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I would treat crypto like a stock. I'm buying in, buying out, buying in, buying out. I'm in and out, in and out. What, 6 months ago, when crypto dropped down to like 18,000, buy in. Now it's back up to like 29, 30,000. All right. If you think it's gonna go back down, sell out. Um, but you have to study it. If you ain't studying it, then uh, if you're not studying crypto and studying the economy, you got to study crypto like you study the stock market. There was a time where I had the opportunity to become a hedge fund manager back in the right before hedge funds blew up. I should have, but I would have done it for a short period of time because I don't like it's too much. It's not something I would want to study like that. It's helping if it helps people to be a better version of themselves. I support it, but if they're hypocrites, it's time to it's time they educate themselves. The latter applies to most Christians. Yeah, I really don't think Christianity, the Bible, is helping people to become a better version of themselves. I think it's stalemating them, and they don't get an opportunity to grow as much as they could grow because they are dependent upon some deity to make them better, right? Instead of finding it within themselves. Because I I know some Christians who are leading Christians and they some straight hoes. And since nobody's in here, I can use that term. And it's my shop. But and I mean these towards some dudes, especially. They some straight hoes. And it would be different if you was an honest hoe, right? I don't have a problem with a person who I meet you and I tell you, hey, look, I'm gonna be intimate with you, and I got 5 other people or 3 other people, however many other people. And if that person chooses to join in with you, fine. But when they, oh, I'm so, upright and upstanding, and you know, you're the only one, and I'm just, I'm looking for my wife. Knowing you got 5 that you're looking at, come on, man, be honest with this joint. You know, Just be honest with it. If you can't be honest with it, then don't do it. You know. And shit, I used to use when I was trying to be Christian. Well, when I was Christian, I wasn't trying to be Christian. I was Christian. I was for even I was straight up with it. Like whatever it was saying, I was trying to do it. I'm trying to live my life by it. But some of the things that countered culture, people didn't like because I was like, look, if a person want to have more than one wife, according to this Bible, you can. As long as you're not a deacon or a pastor, you can. You can have more than one wife. And of course, that went counter to American culture at the time, and still somewhat today is becoming more available, more accepted. But whatever it was, uh, your wife ain't having sex with you. Hey, look, the true consecration of the marriage and the recommitment of the marriage is through y'all having sex. So if you ain't having sex, you out of source with the Bible. So don't say nothing about my sex drive. My sex drive is fine. It's yours is the problem. You know, very adamant about that thing. Oh, you on your cycle? Well, guess I'm sleeping on the other bedroom. You can sit on the sofa. I'm not. I'm sitting over here. And I literally was that guy for a while. Like I was, if it said it, I was gonna do it. And then I kept reading it, and I was like, Sydney's being disrespectful. I'm not gonna pick up a stone and stone my child. It's about the contract made between two people or more parties, not a vow made with one's own ego. It's not. That is not what marriage is. Marriage is that commitment between me and that person or persons, and our consistent intimacy of renewing it, and our taking care of each other and being there for each other, the emotional and the mental and physical connections. That's what it is. I beg to differ. If you're committed to monogamy, you better have a good imagination. Well, according to the Bible, even in your imaginations, it doesn't work. Because even if a man thinks of having sex with a woman, then he has already committed adultery. But that would have to be thinking of having sex with another woman who is already married, not another woman who is single, who's not married. Having sex with any woman makes her your wife unless she's already married or betrothed to be married to another person. So you're not committing adultery, but you do have to control your thoughts. So you can't see a married woman and think, damn, she's fine. I like to get up in that. Yep, you just committed adultery, according to this book. Who is our true God? Who is our true God? If there is one true God, it will be the all. It will be a entity that is unknowable and undefinable. You wouldn't have be able to fully conceptualize it. It certainly is not any of the deities that is expressed in any of these religions. The closest you can get to it is the knowledge of self and knowing who you are and raising your own divinity within yourself. But you're never going to reach the pinnacle of that creator. It is not following all these rules and rituals. The self dive is the only one. And the first step would be to recognize that everything is connected. Well, that would be one of the steps. Recognize that everything's connected and that we are all connected and everything in the universe is connected. And trying to figure that out and how you function in it, getting into the flow of that energy, that frequency. The first day you start thinking for yourself, they'll condemn you. If it's if it, why do black people still believe in the Bible after slavery? Because it was beaten into beaten into your ancestors. Then after it was beaten into your ancestors, and the mother and father teaches it to the child is naturally going to follow whatever the mother and father taught them. And then they're going to teach their children, and they're going to teach their children. And it's going to continue to be that way until people start reading it and waking up for themselves. And then you have a couple of hundred years where black people weren't allowed to even read it. So they couldn't come into an understanding while reading it. And to read the thing. But it's like generational conditioning. So That's why people still do. But that's also why people nowadays are walking away from it because they're able to study it, read it, understand it for themselves, see all the jacked up things about it. All right, it is 1:30, and I do have a few things to do. Said what Rockefeller says, doesn't you don't care who makes the laws as long as you control the schools. Got to make them employees. Got to make them people who can make me more money. But we are going to end this right now. Woo, good 3 hours. Shit, it just seemed like a few minutes ago it said two that we've been on here for 2 hours. Now it's been three. Boy, time flies. You're welcome, Pharaoh. I'm sorry, that just reminded me of young Pharaoh. I don't know if you know who that is. Um, so we're going to get off here today. I appreciate you guys. Tomorrow is what's tomorrow? Wednesday. Wednesday. As usual with the Wednesday, right now I have absolutely no idea what we're going to talk about on Wednesday. These things just kind of hit me throughout my day, and then we go from there. And of course, as all things, we start on one subject and we always go into a whole bunch of other subjects. But that's cool. I like that. I like that because it would be boring if we didn't. Uh, so with that, y'all have a great day. I got a nice cloudy day here in Atlanta, which is gonna make it cooler because it's been hot as fire around this joint. I might even sit out on the front porch and have a cigar in a little bit. But I got to eat something right now because I'm feeling weak. Feeling weak. Um, hey, how you doing? One love, exactly. And we're gonna keep keeping it real as we possibly can. And y'all know that I don't have no problems if I find out something that I was saying was wrong. I have no problems correcting it because nobody is always right. And the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know. So, with that, y'all have a great day. Remember, always you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations, and make sure y'all share and continue and comment, share and comment, share and comment. Thank you for the financial gift on YouTube. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much, and see y'all later. Time to click buttons. I don't know why that one came out straight up like that.